Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to day 2 of the Backmarkers F1 show. Winter testing, preseason Bahrain testing, live stream watch along here live on YouTube on the Backmarkers F1 show channel. It is currently 8 a.m. Eastern time over here in Ottawa, Canada. Very, very glad that you could join me along. I'm not sure how many people we have joining on the stream just yet. I know it is still quite early in the Eastern time zone and also in Europe as well, kind of in the mid-afternoon. So we're going to get to all of the updates so far of what happened in the the AM session. We are currently just over an hour into the PM session in Bahrain with a lot of interesting things to talk about so far on day 2 that I think we should find very interesting. Before we get to all that, just wanted to get some of the housekeeping stuff out of the way. I would like to announce that these live streams for all the way from Friday until Sunday is sponsored by the GP Box, which also sponsors our podcast. You can find some exclusive discount code and links down below in the description of this video and also in the description of the other videos as well. GP Box has been nice enough to provide Backmarkers F1 show viewers and subscribers with exclusive merch discounts, so check out their website. They got a lot of really cool memorabilia that I think you guys will really enjoy, so check that out. Also, if you'd like to support our channel, we got the super chat messages available during this whole live stream. We are live until around 11:30 a.m. Eastern, so for a good 3.5 hours. And also, if you want to donate to us, any and all contributions would be very helpful, and of course, we'd be grateful for that, but it's not necessary. It's just there in the description of this video in the links if you would like to do so. I'm going to wait a little bit longer for just a couple more people to join into the chat and the live stream as well, and I'm going to announce the giveaway that we're going to do in the next couple of days, exclusive to live stream watch-along viewers. We're going to announce that a little bit later on once we have a couple of more people up on the stream, and then we'll be able to get that out for you guys. And it'll be exclusive to the live stream viewers, and we'll make it that way. It would be very easy to enter, so just stay tuned in the next hour or so as I'll be announcing that. Okay, so now that we got that stuff out of the way, let's get into a little bit of a brief sort of wrap-up just of day 2 AM events so far. If you're just waking up in the Eastern time zone, if you're just tuning in elsewhere in the world, if you are live, if you are watching right now, just drop wherever you're watching from in the world in the chat, say hello. I'll be taking your questions and comments all day long. I've got the chat open right in front of me, so I should be able to see your messages. It was very great yesterday. We had a lot of great comments and feedback, so hopefully we can continue that for today. But getting to the AM session of testing, here is the lap count and the leaderboard for this morning's session. And it was much of the same kind of in terms of the top of the timesheets as it was yesterday in the AM session. It was Daniel Ricciardo of McLaren setting the fastest time with a 1:32.2 and also putting 52 laps on the board. And of course, the big story as well in the morning, Fernando Alonso making his official Formula One return after a good couple of years away from the sport. And like we were saying yesterday in the stream, and I think I touched on in the preseason videos as well, Fernando Alonso doesn't look like he's missed a beat in his time away from Formula One because he's second place so far at the moment in terms of lap times with a 1:32.3, very close, only a tenth behind Daniel Ricciardo, and he set 58 laps on the board, which is also good. We talked about his cycling accident yesterday, so it's good to see that physically he's able to keep up and do a lot of laps in the car. He's got the whole day to himself today. Esteban Ocon had it yesterday, and then they'll be splitting the drivers tomorrow. Further down in the field, also another driver making his debut for his new team, and that's Sergio Perez for Red Bull Racing, who posted a time of a 1:32.4, just a little bit under 3/10 behind Daniel Ricciardo's best time, and he put 39 laps on the board. Fourth place, you got Williams' Nicholas Latifi, who set his time on what is the C4 tire, so that is the soft tire compound. You also have the C5, which is a prototype, softer type compound. So if you see the non-marking sidewalls, those are all prototype tires. So that's a little bit kind of skewed, and keep in the back of your mind that it's not necessarily representative because it was set on a soft tire. But nevertheless, just to see Williams up there was a good time, and he did 47 laps, which was a decent amount of running, which is good. And then rounding out the top 5, you have AlphaTauri's Yuki Tsunoda, who posted a time of a 1:32.6, 4/10 off the pace of Daniel Ricciardo, and put 57 laps on the board. AlphaTauri continuing their good run of reliability and putting high lap counts on the board. Behind him, Carlos Sainz in 6th. Ferrari had quite a rough morning in terms of performance. Driver Carlos Sainz not very happy with the balance of the car just yet. Just watching Charles Leclerc early before I came on the stream as well. Not 100% happy yet with the Ferrari. So Ferrari's off to, I think, a decent start so far in testing, but maybe necessarily not at the level that they want to be just yet. And then Haas's Nikita Mazepin, who completed 74 laps, the most of any driver this morning. He's 7th place with the 133.1. And then behind him, Lewis Hamilton of Mercedes. Mercedes continuing their struggles. I'm interested to see what you guys have to think about this. Is this just Mercedes kind of sandbagging like a lot of people think that they're doing? Or are some of the concerns real with with Mercedes? He had a little bit of a spin that brought out the red flag as he got his car beached. But, again, Mercedes doesn't seem to be very happy. Valtteri Bottas just spent over an hour almost in the garage with the fences behind the team as they were working out some issue, I think, with the floor, because I think you can only have those screens set up in front of your garage if you have some issues with the floor, and something that you also need to take out of the car, so it's a legitimate issue. So Mercedes seems like they're still struggling. He only completed, 58 laps is a decent lap count. Much better, obviously, than yesterday of the 6 laps of Valtteri in the AM session. So we'll see if Mercedes can build on that a little bit more for this PM session and try and get some meaningful running. And then rounding out the final 2 places at the top 10, we have Antonio Giovinazzi of Alfa Romeo with a 136.0, completing 73 laps. And then the other big story of the AM session is the struggles of Aston Martin and Sebastian Vettel. He finished a 10th dead last in the AM session with a 138.8, but only completing 8 laps because of some gearbox issues. So Vettel and Aston Martin not necessarily off to the best of starts. He struggled a little bit yesterday in the car. Just kind of had a quiet session, but still nonetheless didn't really put any meaningful laps on the board or get any meaningful running. And, of course, Lance Stroll is now in the car for this PM session. So, again, Vettel is losing a lot of time. We talked about this yesterday with the 3 days only of winter testing. If you're losing valuable time in the car like Mercedes did yesterday and like Aston Martin did today, it's going to kind of hurt you, and especially for a driver like Sebastian who's just coming into the team. And obviously needs as much time in the car as possible to get used to it. With Lance, it's a little bit easier because he's been with the team now for a good couple of seasons. So he doesn't need to get used to the car as much. He's familiar with the steering wheel and the controls, but that's something that Vettel will still have to learn. So that about rounds up all of the information of this morning session. Of course, today we can just, here, let me play this small little video for you guys here. As you can see here, I'm wearing my little Mick Schumacher button because Mick is in the car for this PM session. Obviously, we missed him yesterday on the stream because he was driving in the morning. Again, stay tuned later on in the show because you're going to find out how you could possibly win one of these nice little stylish buttons, as it's a part of our little prize pack giveaway that we're going to do for tomorrow. But Mick is currently out on the track. So session time right now, guys, if you're wondering, the official time, it's 2 hours, 51 minutes, 42 seconds left, 41, 40, 39. So if you guys are watching elsewhere in the world, you can kind of have an idea of where I'm at exactly. So I'm watching the stream. But yeah, let's just play this video right here for you guys of Mick Schumacher coming out on track just a little bit earlier here from Haas. So Mick will get plenty of time out in the car today as he's got almost 3 hours to go in this car. And as you can see here, this was what I was just talking about earlier. This coming from at Motorsport Extra on Twitter. Bottas finally heading out on track. He did just 6 laps yesterday, so he has 3 hours left today to do as much running as possible. Yeah, exactly just as I was talking about earlier. That's going to be very important for Valtteri to get as many laps in as possible. At least the fact that, Lewis did have his struggles yesterday and today in the morning, but at the very least he's able to get a very good, healthy amount of laps and at least a Grand Prix worth of running out on track. So let's just see what else is going on here in the F1 world. Currently out on track, I see 2 cars, the Red Bull of Sergio Perez, Alpine's Fernando Alonso out on track here. He's got the best time of a 132.3, as I mentioned before. That was on the C2 harder compound tire. That's the white sidewall that you'll see. Many of the teams early running the harder tire. Like I mentioned, Williams was the one team that opted to go for soft. Let's just see if we can find, not that one over there. See what the tire performance So here you can kind of, oops, sorry about that. You can kind of get an idea here of the tires that the drivers and the teams have decided to go with. Yeah, like I said, most teams still running the hard. We might see some more as Bahrain moves into the evening. We might see teams try to do a little bit more of some performance runs, but maybe they'll save some of those till tomorrow. So you see Nikita Mazepin has done probably the most running on the soft tire. Of course, you saw that Latifi lap as well as in there. But most of the front runners, Ricciardo, Alonso, Perez, splitting the time between the medium C3 tire and the C2 hard tire, but mainly doing it on that C2 hard tire, so going for the long runs. Track conditions a lot better than yesterday at this time, roughly when we were joining the stream. Of course, yesterday we had the pretty big sandstorm, which obviously kind of ruined some of the running there as well. Although the lap times did get faster yesterday, even though regardless of all the sand and the dustiness on the track. But it's a little bit clearer for today, and I think that we might not be seeing any sandstorms for today, which is nice. It just means that the drivers will be able to get some clean running in and out of the way. Just resize that for you guys there. Hopefully you can all see that. Yeah, if you guys are currently watching, I think we got 14 or 15 on at this morning, just a little bit past 8 o'clock in the morning. Say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. And yeah, submit any questions or anything that you maybe you've noticed. We're also on Twitter, guys, at TBMF1 Show. You can use the hashtag BMF1Stream. Send us your questions through there. If you find anything online that's interesting that I might miss it during all the action that's going on during the stream, just send it my way, and then we'll be able to try and put it up on the screen here. Currently, they're showing Martin Brundle down on track. I think he's by there at turn 4. Yeah, it looks like he's by at turn 4. So Charles Leclerc currently in the car for Ferrari for this PM session. Going to be looking at Ferrari that definitely in this PM session because they had an okay first day. I mean, they had the little power unit issues with Charles in the AM session, but it's not necessarily, I think, the best start for Ferrari. I would maybe expected a little bit more from them as much as they were hyping the new car, but we'll see what they can do today. I mean, it's going to be important for them just to get some clean running in. But compared to some actually of the midfield rivals that they were battling last season, I think that they're sort of down on that pecking order in terms of how they look performance-wise and reliability-wise. So I'm going to be paying attention to them pretty closely today to see what kind of performance they can bring for us. And just I see first comment of the day there goes to Lee watching from Ireland. Hello to you, Lee. Thank you for tuning in this, I guess, afternoon for you in Ireland, this morning for us over here. Maybe curious to know which city in Ireland. I think I only know really some of the bigger cities there in Ireland, but very cool that you're watching all the way over there. So hopefully you enjoy the chat and are enjoying the winter testing so far. It's pretty crazy that within a couple of hours' time, this is going to be finished day 2, and then we only have one more session left, and we're already heading on to the first race of the season. It just seems like the other day we were finishing up in Abu Dhabi, and I mean it's funny because it always seems like the off-season is long because we all miss Formula 1. But then on the other hand, it seems very short as well. So I think that it's been a very quick one today. But nevertheless, it's great to have you all here along. As Antonio Giovinazzi is currently out on track. His fastest time of a 1:33.1 this morning. He'll have all of the day today in the car today. As you see here from a good friend of the show, Chris Medlin, who's working hard for the Racer magazine. If you don't know Chris, check out all of his work. You can find him on Twitter at ChrisMedlandF1. So today's lineup for the PM session, of course, Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes. Sergio Perez got the whole day for Red Bull. Lando Norris is in the McLaren this afternoon. Lance Stroll for Aston Martin. Alonso's got the whole day to himself for Alpine. As I mentioned before, Charles Leclerc is in the car for Ferrari. Pierre Gasly taking over the duties at AlphaTauri. And Antonio Giovinazzi, as I mentioned before, he's currently out on track, just set the personal best first sector. And rounding out, we got Haas, Mick Schumacher in the car, and then Nicholas Latifi's got the whole day to himself as well. Thank you, Lee, from Dublin. Okay, I do know Dublin, so that's good. Good to have you along. I just wanted to show this one. I think this was from just earlier, 34 minutes ago. Things were getting a little bit close here. I believe this was between Mick Schumacher and... Yeah, that looks like the Alfa Romeo of Antonio Giovinazzi. Just a little bit close there. Mick almost losing it. Getting a lot of oversteer there at the end. We saw some of that yesterday too. Some drivers were trying some overtakes, going racing and everything. So yeah, it was interesting. Currently, Antonio Giovinazzi, 8th place. He's setting 2 personal best first sectors and in the sector as well. Just comes out of turn 15 and crosses the line. Let's see where he ends up. 4th fastest, 2/10 off of Daniel Ricciardo's time at the 1:32.4. That's on the C3 tire. See, hopefully that updated here in the timing. Yes, it did. Pretty good lap there from Antonio Giovinazzi. Alfa Romeo's looked okay so far as well. If we look at the lap counts of this morning, Giovinazzi was able to do 73 laps, which is the second most, just behind Nikita Mazepin in the Haas. So at the very least, the Ferrari power unit, the new one, is showing to be decently reliable, at least for the customer team anyway. But Alfa Romeo have looked solid as Charles Leclerc enters the pits. We just got some comments here earlier from Sebastian Vettel after having quite a frustrating day for them. He says, quote, "I haven't had as much time in the car as I wanted, and I have to adapt. It is not about a single aspect, but about many details that can make a big difference when combined. I hope I have a better Sunday afternoon to make up for some lost ground." And yeah, he'll be sharing the duties with Lance Stroll tomorrow, as many drivers, will be splitting the time on the final day of testing tomorrow, which we will be live from 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. Leclerc is currently just at the end of the pit lane doing a practice start by the looks of it. And how great was it this morning just to see Fernando Alonso back on track? As you can see the onboard here. Hopefully we don't get dinged for a copyright, but I just kind of want to show you guys some footage in this way, at least on Twitter or on Instagram, at least, just to keep it a little bit more visually appealing. But that Alpine looks very good on track on the onboard. And yeah, Alonso looks to be in excellent hands. And that Alpine really doesn't look like he's missed a beat. And I'm really glad to see him back in Formula One as well. He's going very, very well. Charles Leclerc just doing a lap out after his practice start. See if we got any more updates coming in. Yeah, these are just some comments from the drivers at Ferrari. Leclerc just saying that the 2021 car gave him a pretty good impression, and he's got some promising signs. But I still don't think that they're exactly where they want to be. But as long as they made the step forward from last year, I think that's what's going to be important for them. But they haven't necessarily impressed me in the way that I thought they would after I heard about, of course, the new power unit and the upgrades to the suspension and the little adjustments to the nose. But unfortunately, they haven't necessarily impressed me too much just yet. But obviously, we still got plenty of running to go. I didn't go through the schedule for today, but coming on the show at 10 o'clock will be my co-host and who's the regular, actually, audio engineer for the Backmarkers F1 Show podcast. Shaker Barty will be coming on just to join me for an hour, just to give his perspective on things and a little bit lighten the mood. It'll be good to chat with him. Haven't seen him in a little while. And then tune in, guys. Stay tuned after the show as well. 11 o'clock. Tim Hauraney, former Canadian racing driver and TSN F1 analyst himself, will join us for a quick 20 to 30-minute wrap-up show, which, if you can't join us live, I will be clipping off and uploading later today just as a separate video. He's going to join us just to recap the day's events. He's got the driver's eye. He's going to be looking for specific things that we might miss just as casual fans, or not, sorry, casual fans, as hardcore fans, but we're not the drivers, of course, so we might not necessarily pick up on certain things. So he's going to give us his perspective. Unfortunately, he can't join us for longer, but he's got interviews with some of the F1 drivers as well. So, but I'm very glad that he can just join us anyway for as little time as possible. It still makes a big difference. I love listening to his expertise, and he's a really great guy. So I think you guys will enjoy that a lot. Currently out on track at the moment, Pierre Gasly. So we've got, looks like 4 cars on track. We got the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly, the Alfa Romeo, I believe, or Antonio Giovinazzi just came out onto the track. Charles Leclerc as well. We saw Sergio Perez earlier in the Red Bull is also out on track. So we didn't really see necessarily the stampede of cars coming out right as the session got underway, but it's starting to pick up a little bit now that we are, let's see, almost an hour, or excuse me, almost 20 minutes or so into the afternoon session here. So Pierre Gasly looking like he's on longer runs. He's on that harder C2 tire. Of course, not going for any performance runs just yet. Good sign so far for AlphaTauri, though. They've gotten through most of their running without any issues. I believe Yuki Tsunoda had some hydraulics problems yesterday, which kind of limited some running, but they still did a very high lap count. I'm going to see if I can just quickly pull up what the lap count was from yesterday. I believe that they completed one of the higher lap counts in terms of... Let's see here for a second. So AlphaTauri did 111 laps yesterday. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth. So fifth most amount of laps. So you had Red Bull Racing yesterday on day one, completed the most laps with 139. Alfa Romeo was second with 131. So again, pretty good for the Ferrari power unit, just on that regard. Alpine third at 129, Ferrari 116, and then AlphaTauri at 111. Of course, the big story yesterday was the fact that at the very end, probably maybe the only time this season that we're going to see Mercedes at the very bottom of any table, was the fact that Mercedes only completed 48 laps of running yesterday, which of course they've already superseded today. So they've already done a much, much better job heading into today than they did yesterday. But I'm curious to know, we got one more chat in here. Thank you very much, Miha. What's up to you? I hopefully pronounced it right, if I'm seeing that correctly. My screen just on the chat is a little bit smaller, so I can't see it as well. But yeah, keep the chats coming if you got any questions. If you're tuning in for the first time, or if you've been watching for a couple hours, if there's anything that stood out to you, let me know in the chat, and we'll definitely have a discussion about it. I think the chat and the stream itself will pick up a little bit more as the day goes on, because still a little bit early for the Eastern time zone here in here in Canada and in the U.S. as well. So we should have more chats going on as well. Currently, Sergio Perez just crossing the line to, I believe, just start his next lap. He's currently third on the board, just 2/10 behind Daniel Ricciardo, who's still got the fastest time of a 1:32.2. And this is the first time we're seeing Sergio Perez at Red Bull officially. Of course, we saw him doing the shakedown and all the factory interviews and all that, but seeing him in a Red Bull is exceptional to see, honestly. Considering the fact that there were points at last year where we thought that Sergio might not even be on the grid this year, now to see him in a Red Bull, love his helmet, by the way, it's just awesome. But to see him in a Red Bull now and with a legitimate opportunity to consistently challenge for podiums and race victories, I'm very, very excited for him. And I think that he's getting pretty up to speed very quickly, actually, with that RB16B. I know that Max Verstappen is able to adjust very, very well and to driving very different forms of Red Bulls over the years, and his teammates haven't. But I think that Sergio Perez so far has done a pretty solid job being there in third place, and this morning was able to complete 39 laps. So hopefully he'll be able to do a little bit more laps this time around and trying to get as much running as possible for the RB16B. Oh, and so excuse me, if you were with us just earlier from the beginning of the stream, that video I showed with the altercation between the Haas and the Alfa Romeo on track was actually not Mick Schumacher. It was Nikita Mazepin. I was just reading it here. He says, quote, "I almost crashed, to be honest, because the wind snap was huge. It was a bit of a worrying moment, but good to try." Well, you might not want to crash it in testing, but yeah, there was, I don't know if I still have it here. I could maybe show it again. But yeah, I was reading a lot of comments from drivers yesterday that wind, especially now in modern Formula One, it just makes the car so sensitive to drive. And of course, you had the sandstorm as well yesterday, which didn't make things any easier and just made it really difficult for the drivers, especially when you go into, like turn 4 and turn 5. It gets very, very difficult, especially when you're trying to put the power down and, back end just wants to step out if you got any crosswinds or anything like that. So conditions so far, though, they're still pretty good. Track running still quiet at this point. Only got 4 cars out on track. They're currently showing Charles Leclerc at the moment, who's just coming up on lapping Mick Schumacher there, who's just on a cool-down lap. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I got this McLaren hat a little bit earlier. when did I get it? Or no, I got it whenever they did the official launch of their merchandise, because I didn't even realize at the time that I was a McLaren Plus member, because I kept getting the emails from them. But yeah, I think I was working on a video very late at night. I think it was 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I saw it pop up in my email that, oh, the McLaren merch is live, and you're able to get, I think it's like 5 or 10% off, which is, it's not too bad. But they're still pretty pricey, though, the hats. I think this cost around, in Canadian dollars, I think it came around to 60 Canadian dollars, something like that. So if you're in Europe, maybe try and do that conversion. But they're pretty pricey. But I got to be honest with you, with this McLaren hat, I don't know if you guys can, how well you can see it. Maybe you can't see it that well. But I can honestly say that this one is probably worth the money, because the stitching is quite impressive. Of course, you got Ricardo's logo in there as well. But the quality is very good. Like, it's not, you can tell that it's not cheaply made, and that they put a little bit of effort into it and a little bit of quality into it as well. Even the lettering and stuff, it's not stitched on. I'm not exactly sure like what type of material it is, but it sort of stands out so that you can feel it. So I really like it, and I would say that it's probably worth the money if you're looking for merch. I know F1 merchandise is always really expensive, and I usually limit my purchases just to hats, because they're kind of sort of in that mid-range of stuff that I could afford. I set aside money this year because last year, it's kind of a tradition of mine that every year when I go to the Canadian Grand Prix, I try and get at least one hat from a team, and I'm trying to collect all teams. And last year, of course, I wasn't able to go to the Canadian Grand Prix, so I said, okay, this year I'm getting 2 hats. So I got this one, and then I'm also getting the Aston Martin one, which sold out almost immediately, so I think they're sending it out later this month. So that's as much F1 merchandise as I'm going to get. Sorry about that. That's as much F1 merchandise as I'll probably get for this year, because the prices of some of their jackets and everything is just absolutely insane. Like $600 or whatever for that, the 3-piece jacket or whatever it is just, it's crazy. But yeah, I would agree. It is high quality. I mean, it's not like it's, some of the stuff sometimes you kind of look at it and you're like, well, okay, is this worth money? But I know that those jackets are very high quality, but still it's like, okay, $600, I'm not so sure about that. And I just got, oh, that's very weird. I just got signed out of my F1 TV here. Just give me a second here. Yeah, that was very strange. I was just watching it, and then it just all of a sudden logs me out. If you guys are trying, I'm not sure if you guys are watching the testing as long. We got a bunch of cars out on track. But yeah, if you're not watching or if you don't have a link, let me know in the chat, and I can drop the link that I did yesterday into the chat to a link to a Sky Sports F1 stream. And at the very least, you guys can also follow along the action if you're not able to actually watch the stream. So there we have the Mercedes at W12 currently out on track, and Valtteri Bottas. He's going to go for probably trying to get a longer run in here today. More cars out on track now. Looks like we've got about 7 or 8 cars now out on track. So Valtteri just getting in a warm-up lap here as he goes. This will be interesting to see what the pace of Mercedes is like excuse me, on the C2 tire in comparison, for example, to Sergio Perez on the Red Bull. And, yeah, we'll keep you updated on that. I've also got Instagram open here using the hashtag F1 testing just to see if we got any kind of trackside footage or anything like that we might be able to show you guys. Yeah, as I mentioned before, really big fan of Sergio Perez's helmet. I really like the way it looks. Miha says that I just bought F1 TV Pro yesterday. Yeah, I bought it a couple days ago as well. Because before I was subscribed just to whatever the standard version was, because in Canada you weren't able to subscribe to the Pro version to be able to watch these events live. You could only watch certain things on demand. But now they've extended it, thankfully, to Canada. So I just decided, you know what, we're doing these streams. And also as well, I'm kind of cutting the cord with cable. So this is a good way to be able to watch F1 during the season and be able to watch it on live and then on demand. So yeah, I think they did a lot of improvements to their services this year. I know a lot of people were complaining in the past couple of years of reliability issues on that front with their stream, But so far, so good in the 2 days that I'm using it, as Valtteri Bottas is currently setting a personal best in the first sector as he rounds turn 11 going into 12. Let's see his Sector 2 split. 1.2 seconds behind Daniel Ricciardo's lap time, so I think that Mercedes are on a longer run here with more fuel. Bottas coming to the penultimate corner, or the final corner, turn 15. Solid exit, not using much of the curb there, as he goes out in the run to finish his best lap of a 133.5 on the C2 tire. That's good for 11th place. 275 kilometers an hour in the speed trap. So Valtteri is going to get on his way. Looks like he's going for another cool down lap. Very interesting to see here. I'm curious. Just reading your comment here. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, because you like my comments more. Appreciate that very much. It's funny. I was watching, just listening to the audio of the stream, and yeah, I'm not necessarily a fan of. I think it's Will Buxton who was on commentary. Wasn't that much of a fan on him. I think it's Alex Jacques, who's the play-by-play guy, who I like, who I tuned into a couple of times last season on the Pit Lane channel. But yeah, I very much appreciate that if you say that you enjoy our comments more. That's great to hear. And no, I did not use the 25% off coupon because I unfortunately didn't see it in time when I was doing my checkout. So I think I ended up paying, it's like $9.99 a month Canadian, something around those lines. I didn't want to go for the yearly just in case if I wanted to cancel for whatever reason, or if, of course, there's problems with the streaming itself. I don't want to pay for the whole year. So yeah, I did that. So just an update here from Chris Medlin. 9 out of 10 cars out on track right now, so only Antonio Giovinazzi currently in the pits. Norris also just back in the pits as well. Lance Stroll also currently out on track for the first time in this PM session for Aston Martin Racing. Hopefully they got their gearbox issues fixed. Mercedes say that it's not related to the Works Mercedes team's issues yesterday, but I definitely still think that it's interesting that it is a Mercedes power unit that is suffering some of the bigger issues here so far during the 2 days of winter testing, as Lance Stroll will come across the line. Let's see if he can improve on his position of 12th. And no, stays where he is. Personal best in the second and third sector for a 133.6 for Lance Stroll. Just make sure that they're updating the timing here for you guys. Looks like it is all up to date and accurate. So Stroll will be on his way. I still haven't seen any drivers come out yet on the softer tire. I've seen, I think, only a few on the C3, which is the medium, but I've yet to see anybody so far in this PM session come out on that softer tire. I think we might save those runs for a little bit later on as we get more into sort of the evening session, as nightfall is about to sort of come online there for Bahrain. Oh, and here we go. We got Nicholas Latifi out on track. Little Canadian content out there if there are any Canadian viewers so far joining us on the stream this morning. What do you guys think of that Williams livery? How does it look on track? I think it looks a little bit better on track than it did in the renders, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I'm still not necessarily the biggest fan of it from certain angles. I think that from the side, I like it more than I do, for example, head-on when I look at it. But it's certainly unique from that perspective. But yeah, currently Latifi out on track on the C3 tire. His lap time this morning that gave him the best of a 5th place, only 0.3 behind Daniel Ricciardo. That was set on the softer C4 tire, so just keep that in mind. Of course, this is what we always talk about when we refer to lap times and testing, and that they're not very important. You look at the lap time of Latifi and say, oh, wow, 5th place, that's great. But, of course, he did it on the soft tire, and then we don't know what the fuel loads are as well. And then there's a whole lot of other factors as well. What kind of energy recovery settings are they running? Are they running more of aggressive engine braking to try and get more performance out of the power unit? These are things that we don't know, so lap times are a little bit harder, and we're only really going to know once we get into essentially the first qualifying session of the season. I'm just checking out. Let's see what video we got here from McLaren on their Instagram. Just Lando Norris having a stack trackside. Pretty good place to have lunch. Look at that. He's dropping debris all over the track. That's captivating stuff, guys. I'm bringing you the hard-hitting journalistic evidence here of Lando Norris, I think, eating fries. I'm not sure what. Trackside. So, yeah, that's very interesting. It was cool seeing this picture yesterday, too, as well, of all the cars lined up there. Carlos Sainz and his new helmet.
No need to ask.
Oh, don't want to play the music there. Don't want to get the copyright stream off. What do you guys think of Mick Schumacher's helmet? I think he's got a really, really nice helmet. Of course, running the 47, the 4. I believe the story is that he had 4 was, I think, the number of his car when he won his first championship, and then obviously 7 because of his father's championship. So, yeah, I really like Mick Schumacher's helmet. Welcome to some of the new viewers here. I see more chats coming in. Excellent. Keep them coming. Mike Brown says, Mercedes are sandbagging heavy. They don't have reliability problems. Yeah, I think I saw another comment as well yesterday that was like, Mercedes punctured one of their sandbags yesterday, and that's why we had so much sand out on track. I don't know if you're making that as a joke or if you're being serious. I don't think that they are sandbagging if they have issues. I think the problem with Mercedes is the fact, and they've referenced this as well, I think actually it was Bottas who made this comment yesterday after the test, that one of the problems that they had was they didn't do any shakedown before the season, which they usually do, and a lot of the other teams did. McLaren went out in Silverstone, so did Alpine. Aston Martin ran their car. I mean, mostly every team ran their car in some form of shakedown, even though it's very limited. But what the shakedown can do is at least get the power unit fired up, go through the cycles, go through all the motions, and then you can spot some of these issues and possibly find a fix for them in the factory before you head out to testing or a Grand Prix weekend, as Alpine's Fernando Alonso just comes out on track. So Mercedes weren't able to do that, and they had this gearbox issue that was totally unexpected, according to Toto Wolff, whether you believe him or not. So that's I think the problem with Mercedes. Now, do I think that this means that they're done and that they're not going to be champions? Of course not. I think that we've seen in many years before where they've struggled. They struggled in preseason testing in 2014, and obviously that went very well for them. But I think a lot of people also struggled that year in preseason testing as well. Now, yesterday was the least amount of laps Mercedes had done in preseason testing on day one since that 2014 test. So at the very least, we can look at it as a little bit optimistic in terms of, okay, they might have some issues not worked out yet that maybe as we get into the early races in the season, Red Bull might be able to capitalize on. But the problem is that Red Bull isn't known to be a very good, front runner, or not front runner, but they're not very well known to be a very good starter. They always come on strong at the end of the year, but last couple of seasons they haven't started the year well. So signs are good so far for Red Bull, but can they translate that when we get into the race weekends? I don't know. But I don't think Mercedes are necessarily sandbagging that they got stuff to hide, because that's the problem with this season, is that no matter what the issues are, you need to get out on track and run as much as possible. And they also have to make all the correlations between the new adjustments that they made to the car this year and what they did in the wind tunnel and also the CFD numbers. So they want to get out on track so they can correlate all that, because we've seen in previous years teams who haven't been able to run a lot during winter testing. I remember back to McLaren in 2018. They weren't able to find out that they had some chassis and aerodynamic flaws until about the second, third race in the year, which, of course, testing would help you find out. And so that's why you need as much running as possible. And, only 3 days, it really isn't much, guys. I mean, we're almost, an hour into this session, in the PM session, and then this one will be done, and then only one more to go. So I feel bad for Valtteri, to be honest with you, because he's going to have the least amount of time in the car, only doing 6 laps yesterday, and then he's going to be, not able to do as much today, and obviously splitting time tomorrow and Sunday on the final day. So, yeah. I think I saw a very funny comment earlier on Twitter, which was something like, Mercedes' car could be on fire every single weekend or something like that. And on fire, I mean literally. and people would still think that they're going to win the championship, and rightfully so. They've won it the last 7 years in a row, so I'm not buying it for a second that they're not going to be fighting for the world championship or anything like that. I still think they're very much the favorites. Nonetheless, though, I think it is interesting that they are having the problems. So let's do another track update. Lance Stroll currently also out on track for Aston Martin, 24 laps in counting for that beautiful AMR 21. They are currently showing Lando Norris out on track. He's currently on the screen at the moment. Looks like he's just doing a charge lap as the ERS harvesting lights are on as he heads down into turn 10. Haven't seen as many drivers lock up going into turn 10 today as we did yesterday, so that's good. Seems like they found more of a balance with the braking, as looks like that is the Mercedes. Yes, Valtteri Bottas just passes Norris. Looks like Bottas is on a flying lap. I'll tell you what, I am impressed by Alpine. They're second in most laps completed today. Of course, Alonso with the second best time as well. Alpine haven't made many large adjustments. Of course, they have made that adjustment to the airbox, which I want to see if I can find. I know Tim Hauraney posted this yesterday, and if you guys were with us yesterday, excuse me for showing this again or repeating it, but let's see if I can find it. So those were all the Mercedes pictures. Maybe you could see it from this picture as well. You can just see how massive that airbox is, and on the engine cover as well on that Alpine. It's really, really massive. And in some other pictures, too, it looks even more so defined than this one. So, yeah, this is pretty unique about the Alpine. But very good start to them so far. I like the pace that they're showing. They're showing a lot of reliability as well. Of course, they're the only team powered by themselves, really, by Renault Power. Let's see if that's going to change within the next couple of years. But it makes it a little bit easier for them not having to supply any customer teams and not have to deal with any of those issues as well. And let's have a look at the MCL 35M going out onto the track. I still have to get used to the sound of a McLaren engine, the Mercedes engine in the McLaren again. And I see some comments. Mick Schumacher in the chat there. He's currently out on track, setting personal bests in the Sector 1 and Sector 2 as he crosses the line, moves up to 7th place, 6/10 off of the pace of Daniel Ricciardo in first with a 1:32.8 for the young Mick Schumacher. Got my, I don't know if you guys can see it, my Mick Schumacher button on. We'll maybe give it a couple more minutes, and then we'll announce some of the details of the giveaway that we're going to be announcing today and tomorrow as well for the final day of the stream. The giveaway is exclusive to you guys, the stream viewers and the members. It's just a way of us saying thank you to those of you. I recognize some of the names from yesterday as well who have been tuning in throughout the weekend. So we're going to send that out, and it's going to be very easy to apply. All you're going to have to do is just post comment into this video or tomorrow's video as well for extra entries. So we'll give it another couple of minutes, let more people join onto the stream, and then we'll announce that as well. The prizes are really, really cool, so I'm excited to show you guys them. Garrett Murphy asks, what tires? It looks like that last lap was on the C4, the soft tire. Yes, it was on the C4 as they are showing the replays right now. So, yeah, I think maybe a higher fuel load in the car there, Garrett. If he is maybe not. I'm not exactly sure. Obviously, I'm speculating here. It's difficult to tell. But, yeah, he's the C4. I think that's the first driver I've seen in this PM session so far on the C4 tire. Let's see. Oh, not that one. Just go to my timing tab here. That's lap chart. Oh, sorry, guys, here. Yeah, it looks like he was the only one so far that's gone out on that softer compound tire. Lando Norris is currently on the C3. He's going on a flying lap. Let's just pay attention to this lap if you guys are watching and see what he can do. The pace of that McLaren Mercedes looking very good so far early in testing. McLaren, if you had to choose your winners and losers so far in winter testing, I would definitely put him into that winner's bracket. personal best in the first sector, but he's down 6/10 to his teammate Ricciardo as he heads down into turn 8 and then coming up to 9. And then this is the tricky turn 10 always, guys, as you're having to brake while you're turning in. Let's see if he locks up. No, looks like it's very clean. Nice rotation into turn 10. Good exit as he gets out, heading down into turn 11. No DRS. Oh, no, there it is. DRS open. A lot more horsepower this year in the back with that Mercedes power unit. This lap looking nice and steady and clean here for Lando Norris as he rounds turn 12, going into 13. Yeah, 2 seconds off the pace there of Ricciardo, so it looks like he's going more for longer run. A little bit wide there on the exit of 14. That's going to compromise him a little bit heading down on this long straight down to the final corner. Don't want to get too wide out here. We saw, for example, Jack Aitken last year in the Sakir Grand Prix run wide and lose a front wing. Very clean on the exit as Norris crosses the line. Moves himself up into 13th place, 2.4 seconds off his teammate. Best lap time of 1:34.6. We got latest comment asking, what happened to the 18-inch tires? I believe they're scheduled to come in next year with the new regulations. I believe it is 2022. I think, I don't know if I could find this for you guys here. Let's see. I know Ferrari was doing some testing with 18-inch rims earlier in the season. Just bear with me, guys, for a second. I'm going to try and scroll through. I don't know if Pirelli posted any official pictures. Yes, here it is. So our 2022 F1-inch tire development test at the Circuit de Jerez finished today with 125 laps completed by Carlos Sainz for Ferrari on slick, intermediate, and wet tires. So this was on February 24, 2021. So that is the answer to your question. It is going to be coming for next season in 2022. And they kind of posted a couple of the pictures here. You can see what they somewhat are going to look like. And that was Carlos Sainz only doing it in sort of wet conditions. So interesting. What do you guys think of the look of that 18-inch rim or 18-inch tire? Definitely looks much more different than what they do now. But I think that they're going to look pretty good. I think, I don't know if they're still doing sort of the covers on the cars. I remember the very first renders of the 2022 or the new spec Formula 1 cars had some of those not engine covers, excuse me. They had the tire covers on them, and I found them to be very strange looking. So I don't know if that's still going to be like that for the new cars. But there you go. Anyway, that's what they're going to look like. So Sainz has already done 125 laps on those tires a couple weeks ago. So yeah, that's the question there. So let's see if we got anything else going on here. Oh, here we go. We got a little flyby here. Perfect timing, actually. We got Checo Perez out on track at the moment. Let's see and hear what that Honda PU sounds like as it flies by. I wish they would have made the video a little bit longer than that, but anyways, I'm gonna keep trying to find some of these trackside videos for you guys. Of course, if you don't know, we're not allowed to show any of the testing footage on YouTube because obviously we don't have the rights to them. But at the very least, I want to browse through Twitter and Instagram and try and show you guys at least some trackside footage that's shot by some of the social media teams or just by any personnel around the track, at least to keep things interesting that way. As Sergio Perez comes into the box, looks like Red Bull practicing a pit stop here. I don't know if he'll come out. No, it looks like he will be staying in the garage. Red Bull, obviously one of the best teams when it comes to pit stops. That's been one thing that they've actually significantly done better than Mercedes in the last couple of seasons, believe it or not. As Lando Norris continues out on track. Coming up almost an hour complete so far into this PM session 2 on day 2. I hope you guys are enjoying the stream and enjoying the testing. I'm having a very good time along with you guys early on in this morning. As Lando Norris completes, let's see where, yeah, he's in just come out of the final corner, turn 15, to cross the line. He set a personal best in the second sector. Yeah, going for longer runs here on the C3 tire. That was a 1:34.4. Just following up on some of your comments here, guys. Why did they ban the dual-axis steering from Mercedes? I can't remember exactly what the reason was, but I remember obviously at the time, it was really this time, well, it wasn't this time last year, but it was at the same testing sessions where Mercedes debuted their dual axis steering, which was a big surprise to everybody. But I know that there was a lot of sort of confusion and sort of complication in terms of, okay, is it part of the suspension? Is it part of the steering? They eventually found it to be legal, but I think that one of the reasons why was also with the carryover cars and the new regulations coming in, that they didn't want teams, investing and spending more money on doing something like that. I think that might have been one of the other reasons, but I'm not sure what else was. But that was something actually that sort of later on in the season we didn't talk about as much. But I think the dual axis steering system of Mercedes, the DAS, I think really gave them a massive advantage during safety car restarts. I'm trying to remember, if you remember back to a race like Nürburgring, for example, the German Grand Prix, anytime that Hamilton or any of the Mercedes were out front and the safety car was leading them out front, and the Red Bull of Max Verstappen would be behind, Mercedes always got the jump on the Red Bull and comfortably got out in front after a safety car restart. And I think that had a lot to do with that dual axis steering system, being able to manipulate the toe and just provide more heat into the front tires. I think gave them a huge advantage in that race. For example, the safety car restarts in Sakir as well, and a bunch of other races that I'm just forgetting off the top of my head. So, yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen anything crazy from Mercedes just yet. Obviously, they're still working out a lot of issues, but there's still plenty of time for them to try and debut something. So, I think hold on to your hats, folks, because they might reveal something special. I know that they've made adjustments to the floor. A couple of F1 analysts have been speculating that they've spent their tokens on the monocoque of the car, but it hasn't been confirmed yet by Mercedes, so we'll see what they say. Currently, Pierre Gasly seems like he's on a quicker lap at the moment, just stuck behind the Williams of Nicholas Latifi, so that will hurt his lap. It looks like Latifi's also on a flying lap, so he's not getting out of the way of Gasly. Excuse me, and yeah, the comment there from Miha as well. It says Williams is also good in pit stops. Yes, they are very, very good. I think they're usually right behind Red Bull, sometimes ahead of Red Bull as well. But Williams are an excellent pit stop crew. I remember a couple years back when, I believe it was 2017, when Guy Martin was sort of a guest, I guess you call him a guest, pit stop crew member. They actually let him do pit stops in a real race. And I remember watching his series on YouTube about that. And they're very professional in the way that they do their pit stops and the way that they train as well. So they're a very impressive group of guys as well. As Latifi's out on the C2 tire, he's going on for what seems like to be a longer run. See, when you look at the onboards like that, the car looks fairly decent. You got the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc just pulling over ahead. Gasly is lapping very close in behind the Williams, but it doesn't look like he's trying to overtake. I'm not sure if maybe AlphaTauri and Gasly just trying to get a look into what it's like following a car this year. I know obviously it's still going to be quite difficult. We're not going to see any significant changes to the ease of following cars until the new regulations next season. But yeah, he's following very, very closely behind the Williams of Latifi. As we got more viewers coming in, thank you very much for joining us today. Coming up on 2 hours and 6 minutes left to go in this Day 2 PM session. Coming up later in the show, at the top of the hour at 10 o'clock in the morning a.m. Eastern Time, Shaker from the Backmarkers F1 Show podcast. You guys might know him. He's also a co-host and also our audio engineer. Will join us remotely. And then 11 a.m., once testing has concluded, TSN's Tim Hauraney, former Canadian racing driver himself, will join us for a quick post-wrap-up show, just going over the day's events and what has caught his eye as a driver. I'm very interested to get his thoughts on what he's been looking out for, as I think he's been able to explain to us just a couple of the things that we might not be able to pick up on, as it looks almost like Gasly and Latifi here are having their own little race in a way. But Latifi continues ahead. If you guys haven't seen our video, we were lucky enough to be invited to the Williams FW43B virtual press conference launch a couple of weeks ago, and I was able to ask Nicholas a question. He was talking earlier in the press conference about how, as a young driver and as a driver himself, there are things that he's going to improve upon in this season. Mainly in particular, he's referenced obviously his one-lap pace, which was an area that he struggled in last season. Of course, very difficult when he's going up against a teammate like George Russell. In race pace, he was actually very strong. And I know that flew under the radar at times, of course, because of Williams' pace and the headlines made by his very young and talented superstar teammate. But I think he had a very solid season. And anyways, I just was able to ask him how does an F1 driver practice driving? Because if you look at other sports, for example, whether you're a football fan or a basketball fan or hockey, whatever, if you're in the off season, if you can't compete, you can go to a local pitch, or you can go to a local court or an arena, and you can practice. You can grab your football, or you can grab a hockey stick and your skates, and you can do drills to practice. You might not be able to, for example, practice scrimmaging or gameplay, but you can actually practice the skills and the talents that you need in order to play your sport. But in Formula One, you can't just jump into an F1 car at any time that you want. So I was very curious always. I was just like, well, how do these guys actually practice something? Like, for example, like Latifi was mentioning that he struggles as Pierre Gasly just sent one up on the inside of Latifi to get the overtake done. So it looks like he's done messing around behind the Williams and gets past him, so that he'll get on the way. And yeah, so I was just very curious, how does somebody like that practice those specific things, whether it be improving your braking or improving your one-lap pace? And, essentially he just said it came down to more time in the car during the season, but also the fact that the simulator is the biggest help that they have nowadays. He said he uses a little bit of data as well, but that the simulator really is the biggest and the main thing that F1 drivers are using nowadays. And, of course, simulators at Formula One teams are massively expensive and also very, very sophisticated. So they're pretty much almost, I'm going to say exactly the same, but very, very close to the performance of the real F1 car. So yeah, anyways, it was very interesting to be able to talk to him. So check that video out. It's we posted it recently, so you'll be able to find it in the video section of our channel. Yeah, so just following up there on the comment there about why they banned the dash steering. Yeah, so I think it was to lower spending of teams so other teams with less money can stay competitive. Yeah, I think that was one of the main reasons as why, because a lot of teams at that time were looking at possibly copying that. I know we heard this season that it technically only would take them 2 days to copy something on a rival team's car. So I think they wanted to limit the spending with the budget coming in, and obviously the whole shutdowns of last year was really costly to a lot of the teams. So yeah, I think that was why they did it. Very interesting innovation, though. I remember being on the F1 Words live stream last year, and coming onto the live stream, and I had no idea that they debuted this in the AM session, and I joined on for the PM session, and they're talking about a steering rack that's movable and changing the toe, and I was like, what the hell is this? And I knew right then at that point the championship was over. So yeah, good for Mercedes, though. Those guys are quite the geniuses. Most of F1 drivers start in karting, right? Yep, that's right. I don't think that there's really been any drivers who have started in anything else, to be honest with you. I know Latifi, like, for example, Latifi started karting pretty late, actually. I think he was, like, I want to say, like, 11 or 12 years old, maybe. Or maybe something along those lines. But he started late. A lot of these drivers start when they're 4 years old, 5 years old, for example. But he started pretty late. But yeah, most drivers will start in some form of karting. I think a lot of them maybe will start, doing push carts or something like that, and then they progress. But nowadays, there's so much more available to them that I think that's definitely the way to go. And then you build up from there. Somebody like Max Verstappen, for example, when he made his debut for Formula One in 2015, I think he was only like 3 or 4 years removed from his karting days, which is crazy. But yeah, most drivers definitely starting in karting. I don't really think that you can go to the next step in motorsport. I'm not even sure if you're trying to go into open wheel racing, for example. I don't think you'd be able to start in like an F4 or like a Formula Ford series, for example. You'd need to start at some smaller level doing karts. I don't know if there's anything out there that's maybe a little bit smaller or anything like that you could do. But yeah, I definitely think that it's definitely the best way to go for young kids as well. And then they progressively build into faster cars and higher speeds and everything like that, and they get used to it for sure. So Pierre Gasly currently doing 7 laps on this medium stint on the C3 tire, a 1:36.7. Just reading a comment here. Not everyone is out there literally going for the best time. Some are literally sandbagging their cars, not showing their pace, I think. And sorry, I couldn't see that last word there. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that necessarily sandbagging on purpose in terms of not showing. I don't think that any team has necessarily showed their true pace, for example. So far, I haven't seen too many performance runs in terms of like qualifying sims or anything like that. But yeah, definitely, I think that a lot of them are still trying to just work out the car. Yeah, and you're right about that the times really aren't that important. What I'm looking for really is just, and I mentioned this off the top of yesterday's stream too, is which teams can run the smoothest. Which teams can get out there the most, get the most running done, make sure that all the correlation with the aerodynamic changes and the chassis changes are all correlating with what they've done in the factory so far. And yeah, I mean, when we look at who those teams are, the team that we got on screen right now, AlphaTauri, have done really well. McLaren have done exceptionally well with no real issues. Alpine as well, another team that has impressed me. Following up on the latest comment here that's saying Ocon is definitely a championship contender because he was second in the afternoon session. Yeah, well, obviously, you can't look into the time that way. That's for sure. But yeah, I don't think he's definitely going to be a championship contender this year anyway. But I don't think that Alpine are necessarily going to be in the fight there for third or necessarily for the championship either this year. But anyways, I still think that Alpine has done a really good job so far. I don't think Alonso is currently out on the track at the moment. I think he has not been out for a good couple of minutes so far. So far, I can see Pierre Gasly's out on track. Nicholas Latifi still lapping behind him. And it looks like we might have the Alfa Romeo of Antonio Giovinazzi out on track at the moment. And Lance Stroll as well has just come out of the pits. He's going around turn 4 at the moment. Yeah, Pierre Gasly is going on for a longer stint on this tire. I think this is his 8th or 9th lap on the C3, the medium. And they're currently showing Yuki Tsunoda on the screen. This will be a good session as well to see how Yuki and Pierre Gasly will match up. I'm trying to see which lap time was the best from Tsunoda this morning. 1:32.6 from Tsunoda this morning. And I think, let's see where Pierre Gasly ended up. Yeah, Gasly much farther down here. So again, yeah, different programs, could be different fuel loads. All right, just going to refresh Twitter here. Let's see if anything else that we got going. What do you guys think of Lance Stroll's helmet? I know, of course, Vettel went with the pink with the BWT sponsorship deal, and he's going on as a brand ambassador with the team. But I think that they have a really, really nice helmet here for Lance Stroll. I like the material. I don't know exactly what material or paint scheme that he used, but I just like the way how it's nice and shiny, matches the car very well. I think it's a great, great helmet for Lance, so I really do enjoy it. Nice little touch with the Canadian flag, too, on the top. You can't see it from that angle there, but you're able to see it from other top angles on the onboard as well. Much similar to Nicholas Latifi's helmet like he has here. Very similar to the crash helmet that he was racing in 2020. Got the comment from Mia that's area that all the commentators were doing were talking about Max. I don't think I've actually talked about Max really very much so far in these 2 days of stream, which is quite surprising because we usually do a lot of videos on Max, and we are Max Verstappen fans. And I know we have a lot of Dutch fans as well that tuned into our usual Backmarkers F1 show podcast. So, yeah, we haven't talked too much about Verstappen. He was certainly playing down sort of the good day from Red Bull yesterday, which is obviously to be expected. But, yeah, I mean, I think he had a very solid day. Nothing really that stood out other than the fact that he got a really solid amount of laps in and, of course, had the best time, which, again, isn't really that relevant. But they didn't have any issues, which is good for them. And hopefully they'll be able to run through all of their programs that they've got scheduled. Sergio Perez doing well so far. Not any issues or anything like that to report from the Red Bull garage. And Lance Stroll just goes 7th fastest, 6/10 behind Daniel Ricciardo's best lap time. Nobody has since beaten Daniel Ricciardo's time of a 1:32.2 since that AM session. Oh, okay, you were talking about last year. Oh, commentator. Oh, so you're watching? Are you watching in Slovenia then? I didn't know that they had the commentators in different areas as well. I know like Sky Italy has their own and Sky Germany and everything like that, but I'm usually watching just the UK Sky Sports stream, and it's usually like I enjoy listening to Martin Brundle. I know some people kind of have a love-hate relationship with David Croft, which I don't mind him. I think sometimes he's like he's really on the ball and he's good, and then there are other times where sometimes he feels like he's kind of falling asleep and he's missing some of the action. And we got, let's just play this video here, let you guys listen to the W12 heading out onto the track. Yeah, that Mercedes power unit just always sounds so aggressive. I was watching the onboard of Vettel yesterday, what they posted on YouTube afterwards, and especially under braking, and when he's kind of off throttle, you really are able to hear just that nice growl of that Mercedes power unit, which I really like. Crofty loses his notes. Yeah, he does. He definitely does sometimes, that's for sure. Yeah, I just feel like sometimes there's certain points in like the races where, comparison to like the pit lane channel, for example, he has like there'll be action going on in the track that you think, you know, normally a commentator would get really excited for, but it almost feels like he's not even watching. He's watching something completely different, or he's missing it. So I don't know. Obviously, you know, I've done a lot of commentary gigs in my life for different sports, so I can understand sort of the pressure of the, you know, environment of a live commentary session. So it's different. I won't rag on him too much for that, but yeah, sometimes his little corny jokes too can get a little bit old. But anyways, what, you know, I like Crofty. We talked to him a couple years ago at the launch of Racing Point at the time in 2019. If you are watching, it's on our channel. It's posted on the homepage of our channel in a separate playlist. Tyler McDonald did that interview with David Croft, which was a really fun and good, entertaining interview. If you're interested to check that out, Antonio Giovinazzi. We were talking earlier about some performance runs. He's just set the fastest first sector, going purple in Sector 1. He is on the C4 tire. So, yeah, it looks like he might get the fastest time of the day here. Oh, it looks like somebody just went quicker in the first sector because his purple sector just changed to a green. He is purple in the second sector, 4/10 up on Daniel Ricciardo. Lando Norris currently going quicker, though, than Antonio Giovinazzi and his teammate Daniel Ricciardo, also on the C4 tire. Giovinazzi just rounding turn number 15 here. Gets a good exit out of the final corner. Let's see where he crosses the line. Will most likely go P1. And he does. He goes 6/10 quicker than Daniel Ricciardo, but that is on the softest tire, the C4, with a 1:31.5. Lando Norris already 2/10 up on Giovinazzi's time in the second sector. Ooh, runs a little bit wide there on turn 14. That's the second time now that he's done that when we're watching him here on his flying lap, so I think he'll lose just a little bit of time there. Let's see. I think he'll still go quicker, though, than Giovinazzi. As he crosses the line, might pick up slightly a bit of a toe from the Alpine, and yes, he does. He goes quicker, 2/10 up on Antonio Giovinazzi with a 1:31.2. So we were expecting some of the more performance runs to start happening now that we move into the dusk and the evening session in Bahrain, and yeah, that's exciting. We're finally seeing it now. Sergio Perez currently out on the screen, talking with Jonathan Wheatley there. I think Red Bull might be getting out earlier or later on and doing some of their performance runs as well. But very interesting, again, guys. The action is starting to pick up a little bit now. McLaren, again, Lando Norris able to best the time of his teammate in the PM session. I think a little bit also of that has to do with the change of conditions. We saw lap times get quicker yesterday in the PM session, even regardless of all the sand. So, yeah, very interesting as well. But a good time there for Antonio Giovinazzi. Again, keep in mind all the caveats we mentioned earlier about the fuel levels and engine mapping settings and all that. But nonetheless, we got a McLaren first, Alfa Romeo second, another McLaren third, Alpine in fourth, and a Red Bull to round out the top five. If that would be the championship, I'd take it. But I think it's going to change definitely when we come back here in a couple weeks' time for Bahrain. Thank you guys very much for all the nice comments that you guys were talking about the commentary on TV. Yeah, I know it's definitely it's difficult. It's not an easy job. I mean, in a way, it is an easy job because if you're passionate about it and if you're informed about the topic, it's a simple and it's an easy job. For me, talking about Formula One just comes second nature because I love it so much and it's a passion of mine. But it definitely is difficult to try and stay informed and to try and provide the viewers with the best information possible. And also, most important, to try and not be biased, which I hope that sometimes, I know the bias sometimes come through when we record our podcast, for example. But I try and be as unbiased as possible because that's what we're here to do. And I know that listening to sort of biased commentary is not very fun, as Bottas is out on the C2, lapping personal best in Sector 1 and 2. But, yeah, I mean, it doesn't, fit for everybody, of course. There's a lot of qualities that you need to have. But, yeah, I was listening to the F1 TV commentators just before, and yeah, it wasn't the greatest, but it's difficult for them, right? Because they have to necessarily cover, almost 8 hours of commentary between the two. So I know they've got Alex Jacques in there as well. Jolyon Palmer's joining on in the streams. Martin Brundle, I think Ted Kravitz are in there as well. So yeah, but glad that you're enjoying this commentary as well. If you're tuning into it, and that's why we're doing it. If you don't like their comments, then you could turn on this one, and it's I think a lot more fun this way, as they're just showing a replay of Valtteri's latest lap. Looks pretty tidy, no mistakes or anything like that. Oh, good question here. We got Perez world champ ? I mean, you can never rule it out, right? He's definitely in one of the right cars in order to achieve something like that. The big question will come down to whether the performance of Red Bull is at a championship level this year, and that will most likely come against Mercedes, as Nicholas Latifi's just coming out of the car. But I think he's definitely capable of possibly challenging for the World Championship. I don't think it will happen this year because I still believe that Mercedes are the favorites, and I still believe that until I see their performance level dropping race to race, I'm going to go with them as my pick to be a champion and Lewis Hamilton. But, certainly I think that Sergio Perez is one of the best drivers that we have on the grid at the moment. And I'm just curious to see, because we know how talented he is and what he's been able to show us in the midfield car. I'm really interested now to see, okay, he's in a top-tier car and he's going up against a top-tier World Championship quality driver. So let's see how he's able to handle it. As I mentioned earlier, he seems like he's adapting really well to the RB16B. He's got the 5th best time, a healthy amount of laps on the board. So hopefully we'll see him out soon to doing some performance runs. So maybe we can kind of compare him and the lap times with Max Verstappen. Although again, they're not representative, but still, I think he's adjusted pretty well so far to life at Red Bull. And you could just tell, like, just looking at the pictures of him and his comments from around the paddock, as they're just showing him on the screen right now, he's just so happy to be at this team. He's so happy to still be in Formula One, still have a job. And I think that's the best thing about him being at Red Bull now, because imagine if we would have lost a driver with the caliber of Sergio Perez, and, he'd be watching this. Maybe he'd be watching the Backmarkers F1 show stream somewhere on his couch in Mexico, with no race seat or anything like that. So very, very happy that he's found himself a nice little home here at Red Bull. And I think that, yeah, we could be seeing him maybe even win a couple of races this season, but let's give him some time. So, guys, before I forget, we are just passing now less than 2 hours to go in the session. I missed the top of the hour announcement, but I'm going to do it now anyways. I'm just going to see if I can pull this up here because so I will have it here. So as I mentioned off the top of the show, we will be doing a giveaway opportunity today and tomorrow. So the viewers, this is exclusive to Backmarkers F1 show stream viewers of the testing on day 2 and day 3. So before I announce the prize, the contest rules, they are very, very simple. When this video is processed and complete, so we should be finished this stream around 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, so in a couple of hours' time. I think the video gets processed right away and it's public, so you should be able to comment on it. If not, just check back within a half an hour time. So what you need to do, is just go down into the comment section of this video or tomorrow's video if you want extra entries. And I want you guys just to comment your top 3 championship picks. So comment from 1 to 3 who you think will be finishing in the championship order. So whether you think it's going to be Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez, or Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez, comment what your top 3 championship driver predictions are, and that will count as 1 entry into the contest. Again, if you want to have multiple entries, you can comment on today's video and then Sunday's day 3 live stream as well. And then once the live streams are done, I'm going to take all those names. Hopefully they're not thousands of names, or it's going to take me a while, but that's fine. I'm going to throw them into a randomizer, and then we're going to pick one random name, and then I will reach out to you in the contact of the comment section to try and get out your prize to you. So what we have as a prize giveaway is some really cool stuff, guys. I'm going to pull it up here. I just sent this to my co-host Shaker. So what we're going to be giving away, we're going to give away a Kimi Räikkönen coffee mug, as you can see in the middle here. I just quickly threw this graphic together yesterday. I don't know if you guys can see this. Hopefully you can see it. I threw it together quickly yesterday just because I almost forgot about it and I didn't have time. So we're going to give away a Kimi Räikkönen mug. We're going to give away 1 Mick Schumacher coaster along with another Sebastian Vettel coaster and 1 Sebastian Vettel sticker. So that's going to be the prize pack for the live stream winter testing giveaway. They're really, really cool. I think I just got an email this morning that the coasters have arrived. So hopefully when I go home today, I'll be able to check the mailbox. And if I do get them today, I'll bring them in tomorrow and show them to you guys. I can show you quickly what some of those coasters look like because I ordered some last year. And guys, they are really, really top quality. They're very cool. They look like this. This is the old, or let me see if I can make sure I see it on camera here. This is a Daniel Ricciardo Renault coaster from last season. I also have one of Carlos Sainz, which I'm currently using for my mug right now. This is the Carlos Sainz one of McLaren. They are very, very cool. I'm starting the process of collecting one from every driver. So we're going to send that out in a little prize pack. And we're also going to throw in, I mentioned earlier, the Mick Schumacher button that I'm wearing right now. Also going to throw in this little Max Verstappen button, the number 33 of the Honda. It's, of course, the last year spec because it still has the Aston Martin sponsorship on it. But that's okay. I don't know if people still collect buttons or anything like that, but I'm really going to start to collect them as well and maybe bring that trend back. So we're going to post that into the comment section after this video, just so you know. But to enter the contest giveaway, remember, once this video is done and it's processed, head into the comment section, give us your top 3 championship picks in the driver standings from 1 to 3, and then that will count as an entry into the giveaway. And then after the winter testing is over, we'll throw the names into the hat next week. We'll pick a winner, and then we'll reach out to you guys in the comments section by replying to your entry, and then we'll get your contact info. Wherever you are in the world, doesn't matter. Hopefully you're not too remote where UPS can't reach you, but we'll get it out to you guys. And that's just a little bit of a thank you. I don't know how many viewers out there are regular subscribers to our channel, whether you watch the podcast or you watch some of the other feature videos that we do. Just a thank you to all the support that we've got in the last couple of years. Very nice to see our subscribers go up and our viewers go up. And, we've been able to generate a little bit more revenue on our videos, which is very nice because it allows us to do these types of things. And if we keep going at this rate, we'll be able to do more giveaways like this, maybe on a monthly or every month or so. On a basis like that. And I just want to say thank you to you guys, and I think that this is one way that I can do that, along with putting out more content. So thank you very much, everybody, for all the support, and hopefully we can continue with the momentum that we got. Yes, are we going to any races this season? Great question. Hopefully, yes, but I think that's all dependent on whatever rules they're going to come out with and whether they're even going to allow fans at the race. Obviously the Canadian Grand Prix is on the calendar. It was a tradition of mine to go to that race every year, and really it's the highlight of my year usually. I get a hotel out there in Montreal. I usually go actually with my sister. It's kind of a little tradition that we've had running in the past couple of years. She enjoys watching Formula One. We used to watch it as a family when we were kids. So, we usually would go with her and we'd get a hotel and we'd stay there in Montreal for the whole weekend and just enjoy the great weekend that is Formula One. So I'm really hoping that I could get back to that, although honestly I highly doubt that we'll be able to go this season. But, hopefully I'm wrong. But if we can go, we'll definitely be there at the track, and we'll try and bring you guys as many videos from there as possible. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to get any media passes or anything like that to the Canadian Grand Prix just yet. But we're going to try and do some cool things for the Canadian Grand Prix. I mentioned yesterday about the possibility, the very small possibility of possibly getting an interview with the man that's currently out on track at the moment, Mick Schumacher. As I mentioned yesterday in the stream, that the Haas Communications Director, or one of the members of the Haas Communications team, is a Canadian gentleman by the name of Stuart. He was very nice, very friendly with helping me get set up with a media login, and he said that to reach out to him again near the Canadian Grand Prix, as he might be able to help us get some sort of a media invite or some sort of interview with Mick Schumacher, which would just be absolutely incredible. So fingers crossed for that. I'm not making any promises, obviously, because that's still a long ways away, and we know how very busy these teams are. So, but just wanted to put that out there, that could be something, if we don't go to the race, that we might be able to give you guys instead, which I think would almost be even better. Yeah, Canadian Grand Prix is pretty nice. Oh, okay, you're thinking Austria-Hungary? Yeah, absolutely, I would agree. I think, before all this stuff started and travel looks even less likely nowadays with whatever, regulations and implementations they're going to put in. But I definitely, Austria was actually, as a family, we were possibly planning on a Europe trip and possibly going actually to the Austrian Grand Prix, because I think the Styrian area over there is so beautiful. It's just absolutely amazing. Austria is a gorgeous country. And like I said, Europe is so nice and accessible that you could just drive from one country to the next. My parents used to go to the Hungarian Grand Prix all the time, so that was another one that I'd really like to go to. There's a bunch of tracks that I'd love to visit all of them pretty much one day, but definitely the European ones like Silverstone, Belgium, Spa, those ones I'd like to go to one day for sure. But probably not going to happen anytime soon. But that would be the dream, right, is to try and grow this channel as much as possible, to try and even make this as a accredited media organization, and then that way I could travel to races and do work as a journalist or as a commentator, whatever it is, and be able to bring you guys, reports live from the track or maybe interviews with drivers. That would be the ultimate goal of all this, and hopefully maybe one day we can get to that point. But for now, we work with what we have, and it's going pretty well so far. As we're coming up on an hour and 37 minutes left in this PM session, you guys can kind of start to see the lights turn on and the evening night falling over the Sakir circuit. Mick Schumacher is currently out on track. Giovinazzi, actually, I just missed that, just recently went over the 100 lap mark for the day. He is in second place at the moment, just behind Lando Norris in the McLaren and splitting the two McLaren Mercedeses. Sergio Perez is back out on track on the C2 hard tire. Yeah, sorry, Antonio. I saw your comment earlier there. I was just about to get to it. He asks, what do you think about Fernando Alonso's performance so far, and do you think he can be the top 5 in the points at the end of the season? I think Alonso's done a very good job so far. Obviously I missed the AM session, but I just quickly jumped on just to read some of the comments. And yeah, he's been doing a very good job. Obviously, he's got the 4th fastest time, which is good. But more or less what sort of impressed me is when I look at the numbers of the AM session, the fact that he was able to complete 58 laps just tells me that physically he's doing well. The titanium plates that he has in his jaw doesn't seem to be much of an effect for him, and that he's healthy and that he's able to drive. I'm honestly I don't think I'm that surprised, but he's up to the pace very quickly. And I think that yes, he's been away from Formula One for a couple years, but it's not like he hasn't been racing. He's been racing at an elite level in the World Endurance Championship, in the IndyCar ovals, obviously doing Indy 500. So you can't necessarily say that he's just sat around doing nothing. He's been doing quite a lot, actually, racing in some of the most prestigious events in the world. So I'm not so surprised, actually, that he's been able to adjust that quickly. And do I think that he'll finish in the top 5 in points at the end of the season? I think absolutely. I think he can. When we look at a potential top 5, we could see, okay, the 2 Mercedes, let's say, and then we put the 2 Red Bulls. I think that absolutely Fernando Alonso has the chance to slot into that top 5. It's going to be close. We haven't seen too much yet from Aston Martin in terms of what kind of pace that they can bring. They've been running some issues so far, which, again, that's more positive for if you're an Alpine fan. But I think that if the reliability of the Renault is good, And I think that if they've made some good gains on the car and that their new sort of bigger air intake design that they've got going works for them, I definitely see Alonso there finishing in the top 5. I at the very least hope that he'll be able to mix it up with those guys in the midfield, because that's the thing I miss the most about seeing Alonso at McLaren, which is not being able to fight sort of at the front. So it'd be very nice to see him try and steal a podium this year. So yeah, I think absolutely I'm very much looking forward to Fernando this season, as Sergio Perez is out on the C2 tire, currently setting a personal best in Sector 1, as he's just rounding out turn 11 now, heading into 12 and 13. This is the one area of the track where we can kind of see more of the effects of the new regulations in terms of the trim of downforce. This is more of a power-sensitive circuit. Obviously, when you look at the big straight that Perez is currently on, heading down into the final corner and then the main straight as well. So there's not very many high downforce corners that we can kind of see relative lap times and compare them to last season. But I think that these teams will make up the downforce pretty quickly. As let's just see what lap times. Okay, so Perez goes third fastest with a time of a 1:31.9 on the C2 tire. So splitting or just going ahead there of Daniel Ricciardo there. So a pretty solid lap there from Perez on the hardest compound of tire. We haven't really seen many teams run the prototype today, which I guess is to be expected. They got all that prototype running out of the way on the first day. And Giovinazzi again out on track on the C4. And yeah, will Williams get a point? Yeah, I actually do think that they will get a point. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they got a couple points. I think as we talked about yesterday, I think Haas is most likely the one that's going to suffer the most in terms of performance. They've already announced the fact that they're not going to develop the car, and the fact that, excuse me, the fact that they're really just going to put the focus on 2022. And Williams is already talking about essentially having an upgrade package that they're going to be debuting here and at the first race as well, and the fact that they're going to develop the car. So, yeah, I absolutely believe that they're going to be able to at least get a couple points this season, and I think maybe from both drivers as well, because both drivers are very strong in terms of their race pace. So I think that's good signs ahead for Williams. I mentioned this yesterday that when I was tuning into the virtual press conference that we were at, they were very, very positive in terms of what they were looking out for in pace, in terms of sponsorship, the funding that they're getting from Doralton Capital. So I'm looking forward to Williams because they're showing us a lot of positive signs, which is really great to see. So yeah, I'm excited what Williams can do this year. Just trying to let's see if we got any social media updates for you guys here. I'm just currently on Alpine's F1 Instagram account here. You got some shots of Fernando Alonso back in the car. His helmet design very much sort of the same as it was in his days of the Renault R25 days. The Renault engine sounds great too. Guys, we're also on Instagram as well, at TBMF1 Show, if you want to follow us there. We don't post as often as we do to Twitter, for example. Now, this shot is really great right here. I'm going to see if I can replay this for you guys. You can just really get a sense of just how skinny and lean the front noses there of the Alpine. That's been sort of the Mercedes staple of the last couple seasons, and one that a lot of the teams have adapted to, even in this year with the carryover cars, Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri making the changes. So, yeah, that's been a very popular format so far in the past couple seasons with the aerodynamic regulations. George and the Mercedes next year, how are the odds? That's a very good question as well. I think the odds, probably maybe at this point you'd say 50-50 because we're not sure what's going to happen with Lewis Hamilton. But here's the other thing too is I think that the other driver that's obviously in the hot seat right now is, of course, Valtteri Bottas. And he's got the contract that's expiring as well. He hasn't talked with the team yet on any renegotiations. But I think that honestly, that they might put George in the car with Lewis. I know that there were some rumors that Lewis put that in his contract, that he had the choice of which teammate he'd have, which, I mean, I don't know if it's true, but I guess would be sort of a normal thing for a world championship to do, or for a world champion to do. But I could also see Lewis and George at Mercedes. But I definitely think that if Lewis were to retire, for example, I don't see him going to any other team. But if he gets his 8th championship and says, okay, I'm done, let's move on to something else, then yeah, I think George Russell for sure would be getting that Mercedes seat. But if not, let's say the next year or two, there's going to be no seats available at Mercedes and Mercedes decide to not bring on George Russell, don't also rule out that he could probably try and build something at Williams. I know that it doesn't look very promising right now at the moment, but I think that Williams' worst days are behind them, and they are one of the most successful teams in Formula One history. So we got the rule changes. They've got the funding now from Dorilton. They've moved on from the sort of Williams family and the independent ways that, if we're being honest, kind of held them back in the last decade or so. As great as Frank Williams and his family has been to the sport and what they've been able to do with that team is quite remarkable when you look at the origins of Williams. But I think that just didn't correlate to modern Formula One and the expenses and everything like that. So I think Williams is currently heading in the right direction. And yeah, who knows? If Russell can't get that opportunity at Mercedes, possibly he could build something at Williams. But I definitely think that if Mercedes do make a change in the driver lineup in 2022, whether that be a Lewis Hamilton retiring or not re-signing Valtteri, I think bringing on George Russell would absolutely be the right decision to make. Big question also is, will Mercedes be the same, big powerhouse when the rule changes come? I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes, because just of how incredible that team is. The members of that team, the technical staff, managerial staff, everybody, I think that they'll deal with the regulations well. But anytime we see a big regulation change, we always have the opportunity for a team to try and at the very least, destabilize the pecking order. So that would be interesting to see what happens there. As Lance Stroll comes through, it just moves himself up into 7th place with the 132.6. He's currently out on the C3 tire. So coming up on just a little bit less than a half an hour until the top of the hour, when we'll be bringing on Shaker for the last hour of testing before we bring on Tim Hauraney for our wrap-up show, as Pierre Gasly just goes 4th fastest. I saw somebody was in their comments saying, what do you think of Tsunoda? Yeah, I think that Tsunoda is a very highly rated junior, and also very talented as well. And he's doing a good job so far early on in the test session in the morning and then yesterday as well. Very highly rated from Red Bull. Obviously, he had a really fast run to Formula One. The 1 year of Formula 2, Japanese F4 champion, and honestly did a very good job last year as well. When you look at the start of his F2 season till the end, he did a very, very good job kind of proving to Red Bull that he deserved the seat in F1, and he needed to do that really because he needed that 3rd place for the super license. So I'm curious to see how he goes up against Pierre Gasly, because I think Gasly's on fire at the moment. He's one of the most improved drivers on the grid, and I'm interested to see whether he can keep up with that. But from everything I'm hearing from the team, they rate him very, very highly. So definitely I can tell why they decided to make the change and go with Tsunoda instead of Danny Kvyat. All right, we got another trackside video here, which is nice. Let's see, hopefully you guys can see that. Not as fun when they slow it down. I like to have the sound there. Yeah, that Honda power unit just sounds amazing on the downshifts. I'm not exactly sure. I think it was the Haas that was in front there of Pierre Gasly. Antonio asked, who's a driver on the grid that you dislike? I think I was asked this question yesterday. I think I'll give the same answer to say I don't know. I don't really think there's a driver that I dislike at the moment, to be honest with you. It might change throughout the season, but I'm kind of like neutral with every driver, essentially. I know Shaker, who's going to come on in a little bit, is not a fan of Esteban Ocon after what happened at the Brazilian Grand Prix a couple years ago with Max. But, yeah, I don't think I would say there's a driver that I dislike really for any reason. As they're showing currently Fernando Alonso in the pits. Trying to just see how many cars we got out on track at the moment. Lance Stroll currently 8th place, 1.3 seconds off the gap on that C3 medium compound tire. Let's see, let's try and do a tire update here. So we've seen a lot more drivers go out on the C4, that soft tire. Oops, didn't mean to open that. On the C4 tire, as we kind of expected as we go a little bit later into this session, track conditions obviously always changing now. You can see the floodlights are on. Not 100% darkness just yet, but we're going to get there probably within a half an hour to 45-minute time. Yeah, Antonio says, I think Mazepin is going to underperform a lot this season. Yeah, I mean, there's a driver I don't really know too much about. Obviously, he was very much in the headlines during the preseason. But, you know, I don't I said this, I think, yesterday, that it's a tough position for Haas to be in because obviously they went with the driver who can bring them the most funding, as we've seen other teams do in the past couple of seasons. You know, I'm going to give him a couple of races and a half a season to see what he can do. Excuse me, but obviously I think that when you look at Mick Schumacher, the fact that he was the F2 champion, I don't think Mazepin had the same results in F2 that would necessarily warrant a Formula One seat. But nevertheless, let's see what he can do. I think that he'll have a lot of growing to do in the car, obviously outside of the car as well. And there's a lot of adjustments that he's going to need to make in order to have some success in Formula One. It's going to be difficult to tell, though, really, at Haas this season because of the fact that they're not really going to develop the car this year, and the car is most likely going to be the slowest on the grid. So it might be kind of difficult to see what sort of progressions either Schumacher or Mazepin will do this season because of the fact that Haas might be the slowest on the grid. But we'll see what they can do as Lance Stroll just crosses the line again. Continuing on a longer run here on that C3 tire. Mick Schumacher's got 40 laps and counting so far in this PM session. Haas are saying that he's currently going out on a race sim, so pay attention to that. Fernando Alonso also back out on track. I believe he's on the C2 tire. Yes. No, sorry, excuse me. He is on the C3 medium tire is Fernando. So let's see what kind of lap times he'll be able to do. I'm not sure if Alpine has posted any update if he's going out on a qualifying run or not. Yeah, you think Schumacher and Russell will have a lot of action on the track? Yeah, they definitely can be. I'm curious whether Williams have made enough of a step forward where they'll maybe be racing more the likes of an Alfa Romeo, or maybe even, like, let's say one of the back-end midfield teams like AlphaTauri was the past couple of years. But, yeah, I think that will be sort of the battle between Williams and Alfa Romeo, just trying to, battle for the 9th and 8th places in the World Championship. But it would be a pretty cool battle to see. So I'm curious to see what type of pace Alonso is going to bring here on this lap. His lap time will kind of give us a good indication as to whether it's going to be a qualifying type run or more of a longer run with higher fuel loads. Yeah, looks like he's going for more of a race sim, higher fuel load run, as he's 2.2 seconds off in that first sector off of Lando Norris's best time. Norris still with the best time of a 1:31.2. As Alonso heads down into turn 10, very nice and tidy. The Alpine's looking very well put together, honestly. Haven't seen it stable at the rear end. Doesn't look like it's understeering too much into those slow speed corners. So everything looking pretty good so far at Alpine, looking fairly promising as well. So that's good news for the French outfit. Good news if you're an Alonso or an Alpine fan. Yeah, much farther off the pace there. So he's definitely going for a much shorter of a run there. As he rounds out going into the final corner, turn 15. Oh, we got some debris on track here as well. That's interesting. Don't know where that came from, but I believe that's just before turn 1 there, almost at the beginning of the pit lane exit. Yeah, it's difficult to tell if that came from the kind of the pit boards or something like that. Let's see here. Oh, no. Oh, wow. Look at that. So that looks like, yeah, Sergio Perez was trying an overtake on Nicholas Latifi and I guess just miscalculated the speed of Latifi and eventually I think took off the end plate of his front wing. They're showing the slow-mo replay now, but I believe that was front wing debris that came off of the RB16B of Sergio Perez. Wow, that's very strange. And yeah, Alonso just kind of weaving to get out of the way. But yeah, that's definitely front wing debris. Yeah, Latifi's trying to go around it. I wonder if he's got any damage. And it looks like they're going to bring out a virtual safety car or red flag it. Yeah, they're going to red flag the session. Yeah, I think that was the smart thing to do. Let's see if anybody's got a shot of that at all. I don't think so. Oh, very, very interesting then. A lot of, I guess, drama there happening on this session as we were just kind of getting into a good flow of drivers doing their laps and getting in some quicker lap times. And then out of nowhere, just a very bizarre incident. I don't know. Yeah, that's very, very strange. But yeah, that's going to definitely take some time to clean up. But yeah, nonetheless, a little bit of excitement there. It's just very strange how he misjudged that. You know, it just did not end up very well. Yeah, they're showing the replay again here, but man, that was a pretty bad misjudgment there from Sergio Perez. Very interesting. Well, actually, on that front then, guys, maybe I'll take this opportunity for just go to a quick break. I'll just go back to top up my coffee, take a bathroom break, and we'll connect with Shaker to try and get him on the line. So we'll be away for about a couple minutes, so stick with us. Grab yourselves a drink, a refreshment, and we'll be back in a couple minutes, hopefully by the time the session is restarted. All right, and we are back live. Sorry for that little delay there, guys. I was hoping I could make it through a good couple hours of the stream without a bathroom break, but it didn't happen today, but that's all right. Back now underway. The red flag, the incident has been cleared. And it is Mick Schumacher out on track for Haas. With an hour and 12 left in the session. Oops, sorry. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to change the timer there. It does this thing where once I go to a different scene, it doesn't carry over the time. So I will then have to just recalibrate it just for a second. So Schumacher, 1.6 seconds off of the pace. He set his best time on that C4 soft tire. And it looks like currently showing him as the only car out on track at the moment, but that might not be correct. So we got, yeah, so Gasly's doing an outlap as well, and Alonso and Latifi just coming out on the track at the moment too. Okay, should have this sorted out in just a second. And Giovinazzi's going for another flyer lap. Yeah, he just sets the fastest time, 0.3 quicker than Lando Norris's time. That is, again, on the C4 tire. So Alfa Romeo showing some decent one-lap pace around here, which is nice. So very good job there from Antonio Giovinazzi on Alfa Romeo. Yeah, Giovinazzi definitely the fastest at the moment. And he's doing very well. Very, very well for Alfa Romeo so far here in this PM session, but the entire day as well. Gasly also out on the C4 softest tire. 7th 1,000th of a second down on Giovinazzi's best time, but he did set the fastest second sector, going purple with a 35.1 in Sector 2. Let's see if he can claw back any of that performance out on the exit of turn 15. Oh, excuse me. Crosses the line. Let's see where he ends up. Yes, and Gasly goes quickest by a couple hundredths of a second. Very, very close. Yeah, so now is the interesting time, guys. People tuning in now to the stream. Seems like the teams are going out more for the performance runs, putting on the the softer compound tires, and just trying to stretch their legs a little bit there and show some of that one-lap pace. Oh, and we got Nicholas Latifi. Looks like he spun off track. It looks like at the exit of turn 1. Yeah, I'm not sure if he spun. It looks like he spun possibly going into the entry of turn 1. He's out on the hard tire. I'm sure we're going to get a replay of it here. So you had the Ferrari. Ooh, that was very strange. It's almost like somebody just pulled the handbrake on the car there. Yeah, it looks like he locked up the left front a little bit there, but also the rears. But yeah, that's a very strange spin. It almost caught Charles Leclerc, just an innocent bystander coming out of the pit lane. He was a little bit lucky there, actually. Yeah, they're showing it now from the angle of Leclerc, and it's just a spinning Williams as he comes out of the pit lane, just trying to mind his own business. Yeah, very, very kind of strange incident there. All right, let's see what else is going on around in the social media world. Sergio Perez still in the pits. It looks like the Red Bull team are just trying to get some... Yeah, this is the... I talked to you guys about this yesterday, the F1 portrayed by Top Gear Twitter page. Sergio Perez's car. Yeah. Yeah, this got some damage, it looks like, on the underfloor as well. I want to see maybe if I could find a replay of that somewhere on social media. But that was a very, very strange incident. Yeah, you can kind of see it here in the photos. If you're just tuning in and missed, Sergio Perez and Nicholas Latifi had a little bit of contact heading down the main straight into turn 1. Sergio Perez coming off worse for air as he did damage, looks like damage some of the floor of the car, the front wing as well. Top Gear for Elderly, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That account is just so funny. They always post very, very good, timely tweets. I don't know how quickly they get everything, but it's just, it's always good. Oh, yeah, so Perez lost, wow, I didn't even see that. I don't know if you guys saw that. They lost, Perez lost a large portion of the bodywork there on the side of the car. I wonder, I'd like to see it again if that came through the contact or not, or if something was loose beforehand. But yeah, very interesting. But as we go back to the on-track action, currently Charles Leclerc lapping green sectors in 1 and 2. Sparking away as he runs very wide at the exit of turn 15. Going to lose a little bit of time there. But goes 5th fastest with a 1:32.009. And he set that on the C3 medium tire. Bottas in the Mercedes as well. Much cleaner exit out of 15. He's got green sectors in 1 and 2. I think he should be improving upon his lap time. Goes 4th fastest, just ahead of Charles Leclerc there. Still 5/10 down on Pierre Gasly's best lap time, which was set on the C4 tire. So just keep that in mind. I think Leclerc probably would have improved even more so had he not run so wide on the exit there of turn 15. So we got that in there. Wow, thank you very much for that super chat. Magic Skates, hopefully I pronounced that name right, who sends 13.99. It says, glad I found your channel yesterday. Thank you very much. Very much appreciate you being here in the live stream, and of course, very much appreciate the super chat, which is available, guys. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so and send a message or a question or comment that highlight it. I know I try to get to everybody anyways, but that way I can see it very clearly. So thank you very much to you, Magic Skates. Appreciate that very much. Yeah, they were hiding parts of the car yesterday, and they revealed inside today. Yeah, they absolutely did. I think they were keen to showcase the new Honda power unit to the world, so they were just like, all right, let's just remove the covers and let everybody see it. Of course, Honda running that twin-turbo style power unit, similar to that of Mercedes, and I think one that Ferrari will be adapting to for next season. So, yeah, they wanted to show it off as well, but I don't even know how I didn't see that, or... maybe it just wasn't obvious enough on the replay, but I was like, yeah, just like half the bodywork's missing almost. Just more cooling. Yeah. Well, they do need it in Bahrain. Usually when we go testing at this time in Barcelona, we need some warmers, but yeah, the cooling is definitely something. I want to see what the actual track temperatures are. So air temperature, 20.9 degrees Celsius, currently in Bahrain. And track temp's actually quite cool, 25.8 degrees Celsius. I think yesterday around this time, it was around 29, 30 degrees track temp. So being around 25.8, it is a little bit cooler than it was yesterday. Lance Stroll crossing the line again. He's on the C3 medium tire. Improves a little bit on his time. He goes 9th fastest with a 1:32.4. Lost a little bit of time there in Sector 1 and was not able to get the most out of his lap there in the AMR 21. A little bit quieter on the track today, as we got about 6 cars out on track as well. Oh, and thank you very much for the super chat there, Mia. Saying, yeah, not much, but still helps. Absolutely. I mean, every little bit helps, and it all goes back into the channel, whether it's, for the editing software or whether it's for equipment or updating the website, the domains, all that type of stuff. So very much appreciated, guys. And, I mean, I think if you guys maybe saw my post in the last couple of days about some of the changes that YouTube is bringing, now they're putting tax on U.S. viewership as well, which is really going to hurt the creators because it just takes away more of that revenue that whether small or large creators are working for. So YouTube's kind of making it a little bit harder and harder for small creators to try and make somewhat of a living off of doing this video. So support directly from the viewers is much appreciated, and honestly sometimes is the best because it comes directly from you guys and there's no middleman. And we can cut kind of YouTube out of it, which is the nice way to go. So thank you very much for your guys' contributions. Very much appreciated. Valtteri Bottas still out on track. Or just for coffee for a great commentary. Thank you. Yeah, I got a little bit of a refill here for my coffee, just enough to keep me going, which is great. So I think that, that'll be good. And Shaker should be coming on in a couple minutes' time. I might just have to jump on over to Zoom just to loop him in. But, that should be a good finish to the last hour here of this session. Yeah, Magic Skates, YouTube seems to be burying itself. Yeah, they absolutely are, in my opinion. And actually, maybe this would be a good time. I didn't mention this off the top, but this maybe would be a good time with more people in the stream. If you guys also notice just in the middle of the stream, under the Follow Us bracket, you can check out us on alternative platforms. For example, in that first link, which is called Odyssey. If you've never heard of Odyssey before, it's an alternative to YouTube, which is much better. It's very creator-friendly. There's no censorship. There's no copyright infringement, that type of stuff that sometimes, YouTube unfairly plays around with. And the staff over there is incredibly helpful. They've done a great job and have grown a lot from, just in December, really. I think when they launched, I think they're around 20 million users now. No ads there over there as well. And actually, if you're a fan of cryptocurrencies, which personally I don't know too much about, and I'm just still trying to learn more about it, but you can actually earn a little bit of cryptocurrency just by viewing videos, by uploading videos, and it's really a platform that just rewards the creators and the content creators, the viewers as well. and I really like it as another video platform. They're working on an Android app. I believe they just recently launched an iOS app. So if you're new to it, please check out our Odyssey channel and learn more about those alternative platforms to YouTube, because eventually we can all go over there to something that's more friendly to the viewers and the content creators as well. And so hopefully that will keep growing more and more as the years go on. But I just wanted to put it out there because I know a lot of people aren't too familiar with it just yet. So it's up there for you guys to have a look. So I'm going to see, because it is 10 o'clock, and I did schedule Shaker to come on at 10, so I'm going to see if he's waiting in the room or not. Hopefully I'll be able to bring him on live here, and we won't need to break away for a second or two. Should be simple enough just to bring him on. Currently, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars out on track. We got the McLaren of Lando Norris. Followed directly behind him, Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. And we got the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll is also out on track. Lance Stroll's got 30 laps done. Okay, looks like Shaker is in the room. So hopefully we're going to be able to get this as well as possible. Okay, hold on, Shaker, just a second. I'm just going to try and put your video here into the source, and then I can bring you on the air. All right.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Shaker, you are on the air. Your video is not up yet, but the folks on the stream can hear you. So everybody, going to welcome in my Backmarkers F1 Show podcast co-host and our usual audio and technical engineer, Shaker Barter. He was joining us remotely from the comforts of his own home. How you doing, my friend? It's been a little while. What's going on?
Yes, it has been. It's been good. Well, hello, viewers. Who's watching. Yeah, it's nice to be back, man. I've been crazy with the work and moving out of this house. So yeah, it's great to be back and have a great F1 season ahead of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how much you've followed so far in the first couple days of testing, but there's a lot of excitement going on. I was saying earlier in the stream, like, it's crazy that, I mean, we got an hour left in this session already, and then we're, done day 2. We've only got one more day left. Like, it just felt like yesterday we were doing the Abu Dhabi show and going off for holidays and everything. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Right. Yeah, I mean, even with the delay, it hasn't even felt like that long. I guess we've all had social media to keep up with what's going on in the F1 world and see. I mean, I think the biggest fascination has been sub at Aston Martin. So I think it's been good. It's great to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Yeah, there's been so much hype around Aston Martin. They've kind of struggled a little bit. I was just telling the chat earlier on that Sebastian Vettel had a gearbox issue earlier this morning, so limited his running to only 6 laps, I believe it was. So yeah, it's been kind of a little bit of a sort of a head scratcher a little bit for Aston Martin. Just not as good as I hoped, as Lando Norris actually just goes quickest with a 135 again on the C4 tire. I think that might have been a new set of the C4. But yeah, I know you're a pretty good McLaren fan. They've been going really, really well in this first 2 days.
I mean, that's good to hear. I haven't been keeping up with too much of it. I'm just putting on right now in the background. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see McLaren, man. It's with Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo. I know Lando Norris has been getting a bunch of flack because he's been streaming, doing his thing. But yeah, I know it's going to be great to see Lando Norris back at it because he's been really excited to get back in this car. And same with everybody, but.
Yeah, and Ricciardo looks really comfortable too. He set the fastest time in the morning, and then Norris is kind of doing a little bit of copying by him and setting the fastest time today in the afternoon session. So yeah, really looking good so far.
And Pierre Gasly with the fastest time. Wow.
Yeah, I think he's currently still out on track at the moment. I don't know how your stream might be maybe a little bit delayed off of mine as well. Currently looking at Fernando Alonso out on track in the Alpine.
I am still looking at Lando Norris.
Okay. You'll catch up eventually. Yeah, it's not always going to be the perfect with everybody kind of watching on different parts, but that's all right.
Yeah, for sure. That's okay.
So hopefully everybody can hear you okay. I'm still just trying to work on your video. I got your video in, but my data source is just down at the moment.
Yeah,
So
no worries.
yeah, another minute or two, and I should have it updated. Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what Tim Hauraney has to say at the top of the hour at 11 a.m. in the post wrap-up show of what he's kind of looked out for. Another thing too that was mentioned off the top of the stream too, that Mercedes has been struggling. It's been kind of a really quiet day, and honestly, since Lewis Hamilton's spin, really they haven't done anything sort of noteworthy. They've kind of just done some little steady running here and there with Valtteri out on track, but nothing that kind of like gets the hair standing up on the back of your neck or kind of gets you talking about them really. So
Yeah, no new DOS system to introduce or anything like that. Yeah.
yeah,
I
no,
mean,
nothing yet. To be honest with you, I was saying that earlier. Like they don't have much time left to debut something crazy like that. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they did debut something crazy like that again.
yeah, like literally the last hour.
Yeah. Well, that's what everybody thinks. Everybody thinks that they're sandbagging,
Hmm.
Which that's always, we joke about it oftentimes, but I don't think that these teams, it's one thing to not necessarily show your true pace
Yeah.
in terms of maybe you run a little bit more fuel, but, to purposely not run during such a limited time frame in testing, I don't think is something that, a team like Mercedes would do.
No, especially because they want to get their test out there too. They want to know if that system's going to work when they go out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like you mentioned too, they have upgrades that they've brought to the car this year, and they need to correlate that. They need to make sure it's working.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything, like I said, it doesn't mean that Mercedes is going to not win the championship this year or that they're not going to be competitive. They absolutely will be, but it might just mean that if they haven't been able to work out those issues, in this sort of short time frame of testing, that maybe they'll be on the back foot on the first couple of races, and then, maybe Red Bull can capitalize on that. But we'll really have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know we're still expecting a lot for for Mercedes, and not a lot has changed from last year.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see. To be honest, I'm most excited to see how Sergio Perez performs in this car. When we all know how confident of a driver Max Verstappen is, and so how's Sergio Perez been in testing, Chris?
Yeah, he's been pretty solid. I mean, so far he's got the 5th fastest time, a healthy amount of laps done. He actually just missed it about 15 or 20 minutes or so before you joined onto the stream. Sergio Perez had an incident with Nicholas Latifi. Now, I thought that he ran into the back of him, like he misjudged his, how close he was to him, but he lost a lot of body work. And he lost, I think, a little bit off of his front wing as well. So up until that point, it was going good. And then we had some pretty big drama there. But other than that, it's been okay.
I mean, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I mean, it's nothing crazy of an accident. They're both still good. The car's still good.
Yeah, Perez was back in the garage, and they were, working on. I think they'd taken the floor off, or they had some mechanics under the car, just looking at that because they had definitely some issues there. But yeah, it was just like out of nowhere. It was a pretty like quiet, steady session going on, and then out of nowhere, it was just like, whoa, there's an incident.
Yeah, see, I'm just getting to Lando Norris getting back into the garage.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I guess you're a little ways behind, but that's all right.
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can pull this clock in together. All right. So Valtteri currently out on track on the C4, so this will be an interesting lap. So we're going to pay attention to this lap here and see what he can do. 2/10 down on Norris in the first sector. Ah, there we go. All right, your video is up, so make sure you're wearing pants.
Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. I was just, grabbing my water, about to snack.
Yeah, that's all right. I've been doing that the whole time too. So let's see. Bottas coming through sector 2 timing zone right here up after turn 13. Yeah, 7/10 down on Lando Norris. Now, of course, we don't know what fuel he's running. He could be on for a couple of laps.
Oh yeah.
Heading down into the final corner. Decent exit. Good drive out of turn 15. Let's see what he can do. Yeah, 1 second off the pace. So 1:31.6. Good enough to put him fourth, just behind Pierre Gasly. Leclerc is also on a qualifier. Be interesting to see where Ferrari is going to end up here.
Mm-hmm.
Leclerc. Oh, man, Leclerc's been running so wide there on the final corner. Yeah, only 5th fastest. Goes faster than Perez. But, yeah, he's been losing a lot of time going wide and sparking a lot, actually, in that turn 15.
Mm-hmm. I'm watching Valtteri's lap now.
Yeah.
This is the delay here.
Yeah. Which feed are you watching it from?
I'm watching the one that you sent.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's it might be because it's Sky Sports, so it's maybe behind a little bit, but
let's see. I'll open the other one.
There we go. I got my video in there too.
The car either. Just
Yeah, I heard your audio there for a second.
Still just Valtteri.
Well, on my stream of things, Pierre Gasly also on a flying lap. Green personal best in the first sector. Yeah, now I think we're seeing a lot more of the sparks now because nightfall has come over in Bahrain.
Mm-hmm.
DRS open as he's going down into turn 11. Yeah, I really like the way this AlphaTauri is hooked up here.
Yeah. Bahrain testing looks a lot more fun than Spain testing.
Oh, man, completely agree. Oh, and he just set the fastest second sector. He's 1/10 up on Lando Norris this time. I'm sure you'll see it here in a minute, Shaker.
Just got on Charles Leclerc. Let's go.
You're getting there. All right, Gasly's coming out of the final corner. Let's see if he can get the fastest time here. Yes, he does. He goes 1/10 quicker than Lando Norris, the 1:34. A very, very strong lap there from Pierre Gasly. Very good. That AlphaTauri looks extremely hooked up in the high-speed corners. So, yeah, very good sights here for Pierre Gasly and AlphaTauri.
It's looking really good for AlphaTauri.
Yeah. Yeah, I just had a question here from hello to you, Rob Graham. I know Rob was chiming in a lot yesterday, and he just joined us on the stream again for today. So thanks again, Rob, for joining us today. He asks, Ferrari don't seem to have gained that much back. What do you think? I would agree with that, too. They're not as – I expected them to be a little bit more impressive at this point. Let's see what kind of performance they'll be able to bring in the next hour. When they go up more in their runs. But both drivers don't seem to be very happy with the rear of the car, especially Charles Leclerc, which is a little bit disappointing considering that they made improvements to that rear, and that's where they spent some of their tokens. So let's wait and see. But I don't think that they've made back as big a gains as maybe we had originally thought.
Yeah, it seems like that was their biggest issue last year, too, and you figured that's where they would improve.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was obviously the big problem with Vettel and why he struggled so much with with the rear of the car, and eventually why he's happy to leave. But yeah, they made improvements. They changed some of the suspension there. Obviously, they got the new power unit, but not really working so far. So Sergio Perez, it doesn't look like this will be a more of a performance lap for him. He's out on the hard tire. Of course, good thing to see that it wasn't too much damage in the end.
Mm-hmm. Man, Gasly just looks so comfortable in this car.
Yeah.
They're just...
Well, isn't it just nice to see him like just past all that Red Bull drama?
Yeah, no, he looks so much more relaxed in his driving. He's not like, he doesn't look as stressed out about it. He's just out for a fucking rip, bud.
Oh, and they just showed Perez going wide. I believe that was at turn 1.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see this year with another, a brand new driver that wasn't part of the Red Bull Academy come in to drive that car and see how he feels about it.
Yeah, exactly, right. This will kind of be a good test to see, it might just prove that maybe Max Verstappen's even better than we thought, being able to adapt to those type of cars, or it might show that, the issue wasn't with the drivers, it was more so the team. So yeah, that'll be interesting.
No, it'll be very interesting to see.
Yeah, Shaker, I'm sure you'll see it in a couple minutes' time. Mick Schumacher currently out on track. So it'll probably be your first time seeing Mick this season out on track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just getting Sergio Perez. He just started.
Yeah, Rob was asking how we're watching with VPN. I found a link. I think I posted this yesterday in the chat of a Sky Sports live stream. I'm not using a VPN. I'm on F1 TV. I do have a F1 TV Pro subscription. So that's what I'm using to be able to stream so far. So far, so good. No issues or anything like that. In the beginning, it was buffering a lot, but they've seemed to work out that issue on that end.
Yeah, I'm debating getting a subscription this year.
I'm going to see. I think maybe I can share it with you guys because I'm pretty sure you can put it up to like 6 devices or something.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay.
So yeah, maybe we'll just like split it between the three of us because it's like
sure.
$9.99 a month.
Oh, it's nothing.
Yeah. So Schumacher currently down in 12th place on a run on the C3, the medium.
Oof.
Rob, yeah, give me a second. I will drop that link in the chat for you. It's that link's working for you pretty decently, right, Shaker?
You say that and it just went down.
Oh, are you serious?
Let me see. It might just be lag.
That's so funny.
Oh no, okay, we're good. Yeah, it's working.
Okay. All right, there you go, Rob. I just dropped it in the chat. Anybody else that's looking for a link to watch it, it is there in the chat as well for you to see.
How do I oh, okay, the chat's here. I'm looking somewhere else.
Yeah, we've been nice enough to get a couple of super chats as well. Some friendly donations from Magic Skates and Miha S.
Oh, so, thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you again to those two. Yeah, in a little bit of time, probably like 10:30. Maybe remind me if I do forget. I'll just go through all the giveaway stuff again. I just talked about it a little bit earlier before you came on. All right, so I got Lance Stroll out on track currently on my feed. Got 41 minutes and 12 seconds left.
I think my stream is down.
Oh, yes, yours down. Let me see if I can bring back the Twitter feed here for you guys and try and get some updates through Twitter.
No, it's working. I don't know. It's working. Working. It's being weird.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. I know that everybody's trying to crack down on the streaming and everything,
but that's one of the main reasons I want to get F1 TV. I already subscribed to like The Zone and like Sportsnet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I think I'm gonna get rid of the Sportsnet one because I barely use it. I thought I was gonna have more Raptors game on there, but with hockey, but there's not a lot of Raptors games on there
Yeah.
to TSN. So
All right, let's see what we got here.
I'm just gonna land Stroll.
Okay, you're not that far behind then.
Yo, must have caught up. Maybe that's what the delay was. That's why it lagged a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's currently the off. Well, yeah, Stroll's just coming into the pits now, so he's done that current run.
Okay.
Yeah, this is what Chris Medlin just tweeted this a couple minutes ago, is basically what we were just talking about now, the first bit of pace being shown by Mercedes as Bottas goes fourth on the prototype C3. That's actually interesting. I didn't notice that was
Yeah,
the prototype. The C3 tire. So, so compound that's made in a different factory, 0.4 off of Gasly's time on C2s. So, again, an interesting little tidbit of information there.
And this should be an interesting lap here from Stroll.
Yeah, Valtteri's back out on track, and he is on the soft tire. Yes,
right.
Yes, Rob. I do believe. Sorry, there. I think they are running the Mercedes gearbox. He just asked, "Is Aston Martin running the Mercedes gearbox?" And yes, I believe there is. I think it is the 2020 spec gearbox. Mercedes say it's unrelated to the issue that they had yesterday, but obviously it seems like it's some sort of a Mercedes issue because, of course, it's happening to a Mercedes-powered car. So I believe it is the 2020 spec gearbox, though. All right, so Valtteri, it doesn't look like he's got the pace in hand at the moment to knock Pierre Gasly off of the first position for the fastest time. He's just coming out of the final corner. Personal best in the second sector. Slower, though, in the third sector. He's 0.7 down. He's just set a 131.1, which is still doesn't move him up or down the time. He's got fourth, just behind Giovinazzi, Norris, and Pierre Gasly. Yeah, Charles Leclerc currently in the garage. Best time of a 131.8 on the soft tire. I was going to ask you, because you've probably seen them all by now, which one would you say is your favorite livery?
Oh man, this is a hard one for me this year because I really like them this year.
Yeah,
all of them
right?
look so good. I have to say Aston Martin just because of the racing green, but Alpine is a close second. Like, I don't know. I think for the racing green, I'll have to go with the Aston Martin.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way too. Like, obviously, I'm a little bit biased and maybe caught up in the Aston Martin hype.
Yeah.
Although, like I said, it's a beautiful car.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like when I saw that Alpine, I was like, oh man, you know what? Like I might have to change my opinion on this one because it's gorgeous.
It looks really, really good. But like same thing, man. I think just because of that racing green, I'm gonna choose Aston Martin.
Yeah. Because it's just nice too, and like when they showed it next to like the Valkyrie and some of the DBS models, I was just like, yeah, it's just more of an iconic brand. I mean, like all due respect to Alpine and everything, I never heard of Alpine before Formula One.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's Aston Martin. It's just it's nice that with all the British roots and stuff to have it back there.
yeah, exactly.
Canadian team, but what? We're not gonna get into that.
That's like that's as much Canadian team as we're gonna get, essentially.
It's true.
So Norris just came out on track again, and now he's back in the pits. See, we were just talking about the Aston Martin. Just popped up on my Twitter feed. Yeah, I mean, that's just a gorgeous, gorgeous looking car in all angles. Okay, looks like Norris is doing a bunch of practice starts here on the softer tire.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up on just half an hour left. Man, just crazy how quickly this is going by.
Oh yeah, it looks beautiful. Oh, I'm getting Sergio Perez now.
Oh, you might be ahead of me then.
What? Really?
Well, I might have missed Sergio out on track. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, it says Norris is out for an outlap right now, so maybe not.
Yeah, you're there. You're within the range.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna like this. Hopefully, this can. Yeah, this does fit. You might see it now on the live stream, Shaker. This is a.
Oh, that's good.
I don't know if do you know this. I showed this probably like maybe 10 times to the chat, but I don't think I showed it to you. F1 portrayed by Top Gear Twitter account.
No, I don't think I've seen it.
Like this was their tweet to the Sergio Perez damage just a couple minutes ago.
Oh, that's great.
They have some really, really good ones. Where's... I'm trying to find one
Yeah,
that,
Rob,
like...
I kind of like that. I like that it looks black sometimes. I like the little multicolor shift that they have when it goes through different like shades of light. I think that's what I honestly really like about it.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, just seeing Rob's comment now. So, I don't know if you guys heard about this in the chat, or Shaker, if you heard about it. Daniel Ricciardo's got a new, like, wine brand or whatever that he's come out with.
Yeah.
And this was this was the tweet they put out in response to Ricciardo's launch. I'm gonna try and I'm gonna go back to just the data. I want to see if I can find the one they did of Carlos Sainz's accident in Russia last year. That one, I still laugh at that to this day. It was just so freaking funny. So I think Leclerc just went quicker than Bottas there, going fourth. Just slightly missed that lap time there. Just looking around.
Yeah,
on
I'm
Twitter
watching
here.
Leclerc's right now. Yeah, he's just starting sector 1, or he's in 22nd in the sector 1 for me.
Yeah, I don't think that Ferrari just looks as impressive as I thought they would. I mean, it's okay. It's obviously they're out there, they're running. It seems like the power unit is reliable. You know, obviously Alfa Romeo's done a ton of laps today as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe reliability is more what they're going for this year.
Just finish the races.
Just finish the race, get some points on the board, because that was their biggest struggle last year, is not finishing, only having one driver finish a race.
Yeah. Well, it looks like they're doing a helmet change at AlphaTauri. Pierre Gasly, I guess, just wasn't happy with the current driver helmet that he was at. Is just making a change there. They're showing a replay. Okay, so hold on. I just found that one from the Russian Grand Prix. This was just the funniest one. And Shaker, I'm pretty sure you'll know which episode this is from. I just hope that it doesn't get us kicked off of YouTube, but it might be worth it just because it's so funny.
Yobbo. Maniac. Oh, hold on, I think there's a chance here. Oh, damn it! Yobbo. Oh, hold on, I think there's a chance here. Damn it!
You know which episode that is, right?
Yeah, I do know what episode that is. That's great.
Oh, man. Sorry, I just had to play that one. Every single time, it just gets me. It's so funny.
Oh, that's really good.
whoever runs the account though is like an Uber fan because they're so quick and they just know exactly like which episode to go to, which references and everything.
They probably have so much of them saved up.
It's so true. I just love like I could just imagine like Science in his helmet just going down the pit straight being like maniac. Just like, oh, there's a chance here. Oh, that was great. Coming up on just under half an hour left of day 2 of preseason winter testing. You're watching the Backmarkers F1 show live stream watch along. Chris Cato here with Shaker Barty. In about a half an hour's time, we should be connecting with TSN's Tim Haraney, who will be with us to break down a post show. That'll be actually interesting how if I can bring Tim on to this current Zoom call that we're on, or if I'm going to have to end your call and set up a new one. Okay, looks like I can just copy an invite link to Tim. Okay, so that should be good. Hopefully we won't have, oops. Sorry about that, guys. I just lost your video there, Shaker.
Oh, no worries. I'm watching the Pierre Gasly helmet change right now. All good. Important stuff, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to see on Twitter afterwards to see if I can find what the issue was. Might have just been something that they were trying out. Different visors or actually anything.
Oh,
right.
Coming back up slowly.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I don't know why your video just got a lot smaller.
It's weird. Man, whatever.
Strange things, but Valtteri Bottas is making his way around the track. He's got personal best in Sector 1 and 2 and quickest in Sector 3. That puts him second place with a 1:30.4.
Wow. 1:30.4? Is
Yeah.
he tired with Gasly?
Time of Gasly is a 1:30.413.
Oh, okay.
It's I think a difference of pretty much a 4/100ths of a second.
Jeez.
I think Valtteri was on a U set, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I just lost it again.
That's my video? Oh, yep. It's all good as long as they can hear me.
Yeah, they could hear you. That's all good. Interesting time there, that's for sure.
We got Rob asking about some TSN analysts.
Oh yes, yeah. I think he was talking about Tim. Yeah, it's I think Tim works sort of as a freelancer for TSN. He just kind of joins them every now and again for analysts on SportsCenter and stuff like that. So yeah, that's I don't think they have very much of a dedicated kind of analyst zone or anything like other sports as well. So yeah, just sort of in a smaller scale, that's for sure.
Yeah, and he's also got his own podcast and stuff too.
Yep.
Talking about sports, and he's got a he gives you really useful information in that too. Really smart guy when it comes to motorsports.
Yeah. Also helps that he's obviously a former racing driver himself,
Yep.
so he's able to give us all those little details that normally just regular fans like us who wouldn't necessarily be able to share with everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he said he recently raced an Indy car a few years back, if I'm not mistaken. Not like in the race, but he got to race in the the IndyCar in Toronto for a couple of laps.
Yeah, it was the Champ Car Atlantic Series, which was like at the time sort of a kind of it's like sort of the Formula 2 of that IndyCar series.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we did a great interview with him last year. If you guys want to check that out. Not even last year.
Yeah, no, I
What's
think it was last year. Yeah.
the temperature? It's beautiful. It was like 15 degrees yesterday. I spent the day outside working. It was nice. I'm checking what it is right now. So it's always deceiving when you're inside.
Yeah.
It's supposed to get up to a high of 0 degrees, and right now it's like -12.
Yeah, yesterday was weird because when I was coming in to do the stream, again, it was same. It was like nice. I think it was maybe only like -1. By the time I got out, it was, 5 degrees, very nice, warm. And then
Yeah.
the crazy winds like picked up again at night,
Oh,
and then it got chilly.
Yeah, it was some pretty crazy weather the last week. It's been weird. Like it's been either really hot or it's just been dropping down to being really cold and windy in the night. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah, exactly.
what you get when you live in a valley. So
Yeah. I was hoping that was the last of it, but maybe not.
yeah, I mean, let's it's what is it? Fall spring is it what they call it?
Yeah, I think so. So Pierre Gasly currently out on a set of medium tires. I think Gasly's pretty much done all of his performance runs, and now just going for some longer runs to finish out the day.
To see how do they I know they switch tires a lot, but have they checked like the degradation of the tires and stuff over a consistent few laps or you know?
Yeah, I haven't seen too much about it. Obviously, we're dealing with some of the newer profile tires of this season, just with the carryover. So I haven't seen too much tire info in terms of that, as Leclerc has actually just gone purple in the first sector, so quickest of anybody. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see like with the new regulations and some of the updates on the cars, like how high or how low is the tire degradation. Now with this track, because a lot of the sort of the start-stopping nature of the secure circuit, you have a lot of slow speed corners, so it's pretty punishing on the rear tires. And then for example, like turn 10 is pretty punishing on the fronts as well. So yeah, some of the longer run data, I think maybe for tomorrow I'll try and look that up and see what they say.
Yeah, because that'd be interesting to see as well.
So here we go. Leclerc crossing the line just now. So went purple in the first sector. He's 0.4 off of Gasly, so he lost a lot of time in Sector 2 and especially in Sector 3. That's kind of where Pierre Gasly and the AlphaTauri excelled. So it seems like Ferrari's still struggling a little bit, sort of in the higher speed to medium speed corners. Yeah, just like Rob was saying too, the stiffer sidewalls this year on these tires. So yeah, it's different. That's also another part of why the teams, it's important to get out and run as much as possible so that they can familiarize themselves with the new tires and how their cars interact with the compounds. Yes, good point there, Miha. That's another one that we missed. Lance Stroll with a really good lap that put himself fourth. Red Bull just doing some practice pit stops, and they send Sergio Perez out again. So it'd be curious to see if Perez has been out on the soft tire. So it's interesting. Sergio Perez has yet to be out on the soft tire at all today. It's showing that he's been out mostly or completely on the hard tire, the C2 tire. I'm not sure if that's 100% accurate, but he definitely hasn't put in a timed lap on the soft tire. And really with almost just 20 minutes to go just about, I don't know if he'll be coming out to do any performance runs, so they might be saving that for the final day that will be split between the two drivers tomorrow. Yeah, figures Stroll gets all the running. What? I mean, come on,
He's
Rob.
the one
it's
who
like-
needs more practice. Let's be real.
Rob, it's not like his dad owns the team or anything like that. I mean, what?
You know what? I don't know if you guys saw the meme, but of Lawrence Stroll with his beard now looks like Count Dooku from Star Wars, and I'm never gonna be able to unsee it.
Okay. I've never seen Star Wars, so maybe
Oh my
somebody,
God.
hopefully other
Okay.
people get the reference.
Look up Count Dooku, Chris. Look up Count Dooku.
All right.
It's true. He did get Aston Martin to the top 5.
Yeah. And Valtteri Bottas just put the W12 in the number 1 spot. He just goes fastest, just I think by a tenth of a second there. I think that was his 59th lap completed so far today. Purple in Sector 2, slower actually in Sector 3, only a 22.7. But that Sector 2 was strong enough to be able to get him the fastest time so far in this session. I can't unsee that either. Yeah.
Yeah, once you see it, like the side-by-side picture, it's hard to see.
Yeah, he looked totally like when I was doing. I saw the assets and the interview they did with him. I'm like, man, he looks completely different.
Yeah.
So it looks like so Bottas is on the C5 prototype tire. That's what it's showing on the graphic, but I think that wasn't accurate because I did see the red sidewall on the replay there. But he lost some time coming out of Sector 3 there. I think he was behind possibly maybe the AlphaTauri there. So I think that's why he lost so much time there in Sector 3. So let's see if we got anything noteworthy here on social media. Yeah, nothing too eventful to report. Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a pretty drama-free end to this session.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what Chris Medland here is saying. Yeah, so Bottas was on the C5 tire. So that fastest lap time is a 1:30.289. And yeah, like I said, last 20 minutes, a lot of teams sticking on the softs.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe taking a little bit of fuel out as well and seeing what they can do. Oh, here we go. We got a Haas social team video. Let's hear the Haas VF21 here. Mick Schumacher has had kind of a quiet session here as well, still down there in 12th place. I think he's got 60 laps there on the board.
Rob, it's unfortunate that Bottas will never beat Hamilton. Because I would love to see that.
I mean, what are we on right now? Is it like Valtteri 4.0?
Yeah. Might as well be Valtteri like 3.14 because this number is just gonna be unlimited. It's
Yeah,
just gonna keep on
seriously.
going and it's never gonna be end. Might as well be Valtteri Pi.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if if he can keep going and do a little bit better, but I kind of feel like he's had so many years at Mercedes now and he hasn't been able to do it. I don't think that he's really going to end up being that successful.
Yeah.
This year. I think Hamilton's just too tough to beat for him.
Yeah. I mean, and Hamilton's gonna go for, number 8.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. So Stroll currently trying to do some fast laps here on the softer tire as we are coming up just on 15 minutes left on day 2, session 2. Yeah, he's not really setting anything quicker in sector 1 or 2. Crosses the line and goes anywhere up or down. A 1:31.0 for that on Stroll's latest lap time. So we got about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 cars out on track. So looks, 9 now. Sergio Perez just exiting the pit lane. So what do you guys think in the chat so far? Like, what has stood out to you the most? Whether you've been watching the PM session or the AM session, which team or what has kind of stood out to you the most so far here on this day 2 of testing? Be curious to know what you guys think. Curious to know what Tim Hint thinks as well, as we'll bring him on very, very shortly. Yeah, I agree with you, Rob. There, I wish he was. I think he might with Giovinazzi's car. I kind of wish he would have went to Alfa Romeo and been teammates with Kimi. That would have been really cool.
I think that would have really helped out his what do you call it? His development.
Yeah, I just think. I mean, Haas is in a tough place. I'm hoping that they can get back to the performance, that they did, like back in 2018, which really wasn't that long ago. I mean, they were doing a good job. But, I just hope that they can get themselves back to that rate at the very least.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened to my internet, but, like, it literally bumped up, like, 5 times for speed there.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what happened. It literally bumped up from like 200 megabytes to like 900 megabytes for download for a second. I was really confused. McLaren is the one thing I'm happy about the last year to see is the consistency, because their biggest struggle was just, a few years back was getting making those finishes happen every single race, or being in the top 10 every single race. Well, I mean, they're very close, weren't they? Only off by like 2 points last year. Magic, like it was a very close race last year for between McLaren and Racing Point.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, it was only a couple points, I think.
Yeah, it was very, very close last year.
I mean, Racing Point probably would have finished third had they not had that penalty of 15 points.
Yeah.
Because, like whatever the difference was, 2 or 3 points or something.
Yeah, it was a very small. Oh, you mean right now in testing? Okay.
Oh.
Well, I mean, we'll see. We don't know what Aston Martin are planning. Maybe they're holding some stuff back, but we'll see.
Yeah, I just think that they just haven't had a smooth testing so far. Obviously, the gearbox issue, like Vettel's first day wasn't very eventful. I don't think that he was comfortable with the car just yet. And obviously he's still getting used to it. We have to keep that into consideration. Now, when you look at it, though, currently the man on track at the moment, Fernando Alonso, he's adjusted very well just like that. But I also think that has to do with Alonso spent a lot of time testing older Renault cars, also jumped into the RS20 last season at the young driver test. So I think that he's much more equipped to the Alpine systems than Vettel is to the Aston Martin systems, for example. But like I said, just not having that time today, I think really hurt Vettel and probably not going to help his confidence either, I don't think.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure when McLaren wasn't using Honda, they were using Renault engines, weren't they? Before that little mishap?
Yeah, that's right. They used Renault engines from 2018 till last year.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, he got a little bit of practice with it, I think.
Yeah.
It's just how like Daniel Ricciardo adjusted so easily coming into that Renault because because the Red Bull had a Renault engine.
Yeah, well, it's completely different, and a lot of driver. I mean, we saw Ricardo when he went to Renault was struggling quite a bit too in the early parts of the seasons. But yeah, I think just not as smooth for Aston Martin. Although Lance Stroll has been going, decently well in this PM session, which is good. But it's kind of what you would expect because Stroll is the senior driver at the team, and obviously is very familiar with all the systems there.
And also good, yeah. And Alonso can literally drive anything. You're right, Rob.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So true.
Yeah, I mean, like we saw the Daniel Ricciardo change from like Red Bull to Renault to McLaren. It's been the same engine the last 3 years. He's not doing anything huge. Yes, and there should definitely be more options for engines, and there should definitely be more manufacturers in play in F1. But we don't have, it's unfortunate that more teams don't want to get involved.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a constant thing that we always talk about with, having more teams, but definitely having more engines, because if you really consider it, when Honda left, just the last year, we were pretty much down to 3 manufacturers. It's still kind of like that with sort of Red Bull taking over, the Honda project, I guess, in a way. It's still going to be very much the Honda power unit, but yeah, it's just to be down to 3 manufacturers, essentially Ferrari, Mercedes, and Renault is pretty slim, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it is. Like my dream engine manufacturer is see Porsche. I would love to see Porsche back in. And obviously BMW. Those would be the 2, but it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, Porsche's been rumored now. I think I just read something recently again that they were possibly looking at it or in talks of it, but obviously it's very difficult nowadays to try and get into F1, very expensive and everything. But yeah, I think that would be great to have them back in the sport, or in the sport. I don't think they were ever in Formula One.
Yeah, like the only way I see it happening personally is if a brand new team who had the money that wanted to get into F1 were to approach like Porsche or BMW and somehow convince them to get back into the sport, because then it's a shared like money kind of thing,
Yeah.
But I don't see an engine manufacturer entering into F1 with the current teams unless like a current team was absolutely fucking sick of it and wanted to take some of the costs up.
Yeah, you never know, and like I said, it's dependent on the comments as well on the engine regulations in the coming years and stuff like that. I know they're doing the engine freeze, but still, obviously, there's a lot for that to do, and it's just like the systems are so complex. They're very, very, very expensive with this technology, so it's also the future afterwards of where it's going to go. Are they going to keep the combustion engines? Are they going to go more hybrid or more electric? I'm not exactly sure. So I think that's going to be very dependent too on what manufacturers decide to do.
Mm-hmm.
Another nice thing about testing here in Bahrain is we get an excellent selection of daytime pictures and nighttime pictures of what the cars look like. I just really like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So let me just announce before Tim comes on and we wrap up this portion of the live coverage of F1 testing. I did want to remind people, if you weren't with us sort of throughout this program, we are doing a giveaway for exclusively to people that are watching the live stream. So today, tomorrow, even yesterday, day before. So you're only going to really hear about it if you're tuned into these live streams. So you're going to have a good chance to win. We are giving away. I showed this earlier. I want to see if I can. I think I sent this to you in the DMs, right? We are giving away one Kimi Räikkönen mug, and with that prize pack, we're going to give away also a Sebastian Vettel coaster and also a Mick Schumacher coaster as well, along with a Sebastian Vettel sticker. And I'm throwing in with that as well. These just came in the day before. There are these little Max Verstappen buttons. I don't know if anybody still collects the buttons, but maybe we can start a new trend there. So that will be the prize pack available. To be eligible for the giveaway, it's very simple. In a couple of minutes' time, when this video is done and it's processed, head down into the comment section of this video or tomorrow's video as well and comment your top 3 drivers' championship predictions. So whether that's Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, or Verstappen, Perez, Hamilton, whatever it is, comment that down below. We're going to then throw all those names into a hat and then pick a winner out of there, and we will contact you replying back to your comment in one of those videos and get that prize sent out to you wherever you are in the world. So that will be very good, very exciting. So good luck to you all. And yeah, if you want extra entries, make sure to comment on both of the videos. And yeah, doing that exclusively for you guys who have been very nice enough to support in the chat and also watch along with us for these past couple hours. So yeah, that'll be great.
Yep. Sorry, I'm just going through our previous comments of the stream.
No problem, no problem. All right, so let's go back to the data here. So less than 5 minutes to go. So I'm wondering... I sent Tim a message to see if he could just loop in with the Zoom call that we're on right now, but I haven't heard from him, so...
Yeah, I mean, he's probably watching the session.
yeah. Oh, we got a red flag. I think that this might be an FIA scheduled red flag because they did this earlier in the AM session. I don't see any cars spun around on track or anything like that. Yeah, it looks like it's still good. So yeah, I think it's just they did this I think in the first session as well where they just went to an FIA sort of tested red flag. But that might
Got it last year, so makes sense.
Yeah. No kidding. I wonder if that might do it then for the on-track action. Yeah, it looks like it there. You got the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly at the end of the pit lane with the AlphaTauri mechanics running up with the fans and everything. They seem almost a little bit confused as to what's going on. Yeah, Haas has also got the fans out as well. Okay, yeah, so it's just like this morning where they put the red flag out a couple of minutes before. Here, let me show you guys. So yeah, that'll about pretty much do it for that session then.
Yeah, session stopped.
Let's see. We got this from the Alpine social media team. Let's have a look here. Little pit stop practice there from Alpine. Okay, yeah, so that pretty much should do it then for that session. So yeah, we were all worried that Mercedes wasn't going to top the timing charts, but there they are. Valtteri Bottas, the fastest time today, a 1:32. Pierre Gasly third, Lance Stroll in fourth, Lando Norris fifth, and Antonio Giovinazzi rounding out the top 5. All right. Very, very close though at the front with those lap times, but still, we got a Mercedes back at the front. So, Shaker, I might have to disconnect you from this Zoom call and start the one that I had scheduled with Tim.
That's cool.
And then I'll just send you the new meeting invite.
Yep, sounds good.
All right. So
I'll log up here then.
Yeah, just going to disconnect from Shaker for a second here. All right, let's see if we can do this. So what do you guys think then of day 2, session 2, just the whole session as a whole? What do you guys think? Who impressed you the most? Who kind of disappointed you the most? I'm sure we're going to get Tim's thoughts on it just in a few moments' time. But, yeah, definitely I think that very interesting session nonetheless for the likes of Aston Martin, Ferrari as well. Ferrari were very quiet. But, yeah, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done and we look at the timing sheets, we do have a Mercedes at the top there. So good for Valtteri Bottas, at least from what happened yesterday, to be able to make up that time and be able to at least put in a good lap to get him at the top there. Yeah. Yeah, Giovinazzi faster than Leclerc, right? That's a good point. Hey, but on the one side of it, when you look at it, at least, at the very least, it's good news for the Ferrari power unit, as we got a couple cars still going out on track around at the moment, although the session is over. Yeah, Rob says that he's disappointed by the Mercedes gearbox, that Vettel needed more time. Yeah, that's for sure. Definitely a disappointing day for Aston Martin, especially in that morning session. They were able to get some pretty good running there with Lance Stroll, but unfortunately for Sebastian Vettel, he's going to have a lot to make up for in tomorrow's session. All right, just trying to get some of the new Zoom calls here set up. Still haven't heard from Tim, so we're still going to be live on the air for the next 20 to 30 minutes or so. So get your comments in, get your thoughts in. You're summarizing today's action. Very curious to know what you guys think. Definitely a very, very interesting day. Tomorrow is going to be an even busier day. We're going to be live at 9 o'clock going until 12 p.m. Eastern. There's definitely going to be a lot of action tomorrow because a lot of the drivers are going to be splitting the time, of course, with their teammates. And so that's going to be the important running because obviously tomorrow is the final day of testing, and that is it until the first race of the season in Bahrain, obviously. It says, any info on Ferrari and Sainz? Not at the moment, but let me see if I can find some for you. Okay, looks like we got Shaker back. All right, and he's back.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, still haven't heard from Tim, so we're standing by. We'll just keep going until we can connect with Tim.
Good.
Yeah, so not sure what's going on with Ferrari, but I mean, I think Sainz had a much rougher go in that morning session than Leclerc did. I mean, Leclerc did do good enough to put in a sixth place time of 1:30.8. Now, the good news for Ferrari here, I mean, Leclerc did 73 laps. Carlos Sainz did 56 in the morning, so over 100 laps. And then, obviously, when you look at Antonio Giovinazzi, who was solo in the Alfa Romeo, 125 laps just by himself in that Alfa Romeo powered by the Ferrari. Only 4/10 off of Valtteri's best time of a 1:30.2. So, I think a pretty solid day for Alfa Romeo, building on what Kimi Räikkönen was able to do yesterday. But I think, yes, Rob's saying that potentially Mattia Binotto's last few days at Ferrari, if it doesn't go better than last season, and I mean significantly better, I definitely think that he's on his way out.
Yeah, I also wish Chico was a little bit higher, but like we said, it's a little bit oh my God.
Rust?
He's just got to invest a little bit more time in that car. I mean, 131 being a 7th place on day 2, that's not bad. That's not bad for somebody who's just like second day in their car.
Well, and let me just double check because I think what we were talking about earlier, that Sergio Perez was not on any of the softer compounds. I do not believe he set a time on the softer compound of tires. Yeah, so it's still showing that he did all of his running on the hard compound tire. So also keep that into consideration of, it's a pretty solid place of 8th if he just did it on the hard tire there. 117 laps. So that's pretty good. A 131.6, only 1.3 off of Valtteri Bottas. Obviously, we don't know what fuel load he was running on the harder tire there, but I think solid. Like up until that little incident that he had with Nicholas Latifi, which I'm going to have to go back and still look at, to get 117 laps in the new Honda power unit as well. That's great news for Honda that they've been able to confirm the fact that the power unit is reliable, and it seems like it's giving them some pretty solid pace. When I look at the Sector 1 times there, Perez has some pretty solid Sector 1 and Sector 3 times when you look at where the big straights are. So, I think for that reason, that's why we didn't see Perez maybe a little bit higher in the standings, is because he didn't run any of the softer tires. So maybe we'll save that for tomorrow in the split day with Max.
Yeah, I mean we're gonna see so much more on day 3, with with the other drivers involved as well, and a full out testing tomorrow. So.
I should have just kept the original link with Tim. I'm sending him around in a circle. Poor guy.
Why? You went to the other one?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Well, because I didn't hear from him. I told him, like, just come on around, like, 10:55, and I didn't see him. So that's why. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Let's admit. See how this is going to work.
Tim's on. Zoom call. His mic just isn't on.
Yeah, I don't see him.
Here he is.
Curious to what your opinions and how would you summarize maybe a couple comments on just testing overall so far, and then also what stands out to you on day 2 of winter testing.
Yeah, I think like with everything with F1 testing, right, guys? I mean, we don't know what kind of fuel loads everyone is running and what different types of setups everyone is on. But I think one of the, important things to take a look at is actually the tire compound some of these teams are running. I mean, taking a look at the screen here, Valtteri Bottas was quickest using the C5, but it's kind of like, well, so was Pierre Gasly, and I don't really think that an AlphaTauri is going to be as fast as a Mercedes, right? So I think over the longer haul, I think the more we kind of dig into what is like the race runs, what do they look like on like a harder compound, like a C3 or even a C2, like a longer distance run, like what are we looking at with those times? And it'd be cool if we could kind of get like a breakdown of that, like if they could do that with the broadcast, but they don't. That would give us quite a bit of information. But I mean, to see Mercedes kind of bounce back after what looked like a really tough Friday is extremely important, because that car looks like a handful. It doesn't look like one of the smoother, more rides that they've produced in years past.
It's a big talking point on social media in terms of Mercedes struggles and is their run over, is their dominance over? But obviously, like you said, it's very early in testing. But how much does that affect, do you think it's going to have for them on the season with Valtteri getting limited time and with potential gearbox issues that affected Aston Martin earlier this morning, which I believe they said isn't related to what Mercedes issues had. But do you have legitimate concerns about Mercedes' power unit reliability and just overall what you mentioned with just how much of a handful that car looks, especially earlier in this morning in the hands of Hamilton?
I mean, I'll start with the handling aspect of it first and sort of work backwards. So if we look at the way F1 cars came into this season, we've got, and I'm sure you've mentioned it on your broadcast a number of times, a reduced amount of downforce underneath the race car. So the floors of the race cars have become a lot smaller, and these teams are trying to gain back a lot of the aero advantage that they had last season by using the floor of the race car. So if you're making that floor smaller, it's going to be very time consuming, and it's going to be a lot of money to try and gain that advantage back and to pick the right direction to go in with your floor. If we take a look at Mercedes' floor, it's very complex. They have so many different types of I guess they call them flicks or flickers, they call them, on top of the actual floorboard itself, just in front of the tires to kind of redirect airflow and things of that nature. So if we just look at that as an example, and then we start moving things a little bit forward with, say tires, and I know everybody rolls their eyes when we talk about tires, but unfortunately we're going to have to talk about tires this season because the tires don't look very good at all. They look a lot slower. They look a lot more complex, and that's going to offer another round of issues. The floor that, say, the Mercedes has of Valtteri Bottas, I don't think that's going to be the floor that they're even going to start the Grand Prix on in a few weeks' time. There's no way. It's just taking a look at the race car itself on the track now. It looks like a handful. It just doesn't look smooth. It doesn't look like the Mercedes of last year or the years prior, where it seems effortless for them almost to generate a lap time, where you see the car on the track now and it's kind of like it's very skittish. It almost looks like Red Bull last year, almost, in a way, right? So that being that, I mean, I'm sure Mercedes will be able to get those little tiny things ironed out, but as for the engine, I mean, if we go back to last season, they had a lot of reliability issues during, testing in Barcelona before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for the pandemic, hitting, I don't know where honestly they would be in terms of reliability, because it just wasn't there. It just wasn't there at all. And now we're starting to see, they've introduced a new gearbox. So you're starting to see that the teams who buy these gearboxes from Mercedes, they're having issues of their own. Now, whether or not they're the exact same, well, that's a question for another time, because they haven't released that information. But can we assume that it is similar? Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, all of these teams who buy Mercedes gearboxes are all having Mercedes gearbox issues, and clearly there's something going on there, right? So we can get that sorted out. We'll have a little bit more information, but also if we take a look at, the engine for this season, they're presumably they've upped the horsepower a bit on this engine. How does that reflect? How does that affect reliability? Because once you start playing with those numbers, the chances of you running into problems with engines, increases, because you're trying to increase that performance. You're putting more stress, more strain on the components, and that's going to cause a lot of problems. So the packaging on the car itself, if we also look at the other teams who run Mercedes-powered power units, like the packaging alone, and by packaging I mean how the actual top fits on top of the back of the race car that we saw, blew off Sergio Perez's Red Bull earlier today. Yeah. We take a look at that. I mean, it's packaged extremely tight. There's not a lot of room in there. And that will lend itself to overheating and more issues. with trying to really package these things, making them tighter and smaller. So, I mean, that's what testing's all about. And we can look into, and that's what makes it fun for us to actually kind of sit here and delve into and look into all this information. But yeah, I think reliability is going to be a huge talking point, I feel, over the next few weeks.
Yeah, excellent, and that's why we really wanted to talk to you, because you can give us that perspective of a former driver and just talk about certain things that maybe us as fans we wouldn't pick up on, and that was an excellent summary. So moving a little bit onto that to some of the other teams, maybe some that had some more successful first 2 days of testing, in particular McLaren and Alpine. Alpine getting in a ton of laps today, with Fernando Alonso at the helm of the car. And also Lando Norris, again, was running in first position for most of the PM session. Daniel Ricciardo once again finishing the AM session in first place. So what are your thoughts on some of those midfield teams of Alpine and McLaren kind of getting off to winter testing on the right foot?
I always say, like, usually you can tell by drivers' body language if they're happy or not. I mean, drivers normally wear their hearts on their sleeves, unfortunately. So as a racing driver, it's like you can't really hide anything, right? So, I mean, taking a look at Esteban Ocon from Friday, extremely happy, right? Like, that dude he was smiles for days. So that has to tell you something right there, that absolutely over the moon, I think, with how the car is actually handling. They haven't really run into any sort of reliability issues. They've done a number of different laps. That team, they look real strong. Like, I was surprised, actually, because the old Renault car back last year, the year before, he always had a lot of issues with it, and they never really got some really good testing data. The drivers never really looked extremely happy. They were kind of like in this limbo of, hey, is this car really good? Is it not? I can't really extract the performance out of it.
Yeah.
But it's not really biting me in the butt when I do things with it. So now you look at the drivers, they seem very happy. What they're saying is the right things. So the team looks really strong, considering they're running this like huge like air intake on the top of the car, which is extremely weird, because you're seeing all these other teams, like I was saying, running these really tight packaged engines, and their packaging is just not it's not concealed. It's not like cling wrap to the car, right? So that was interesting for me to see that. But digging into that a little deeper, I think that kind of has a lot to do with how the floor of the car works. Because again, like I had mentioned, teams are stripping away they have to strip away downforce, and the floor is one of those parts. And it seems like the air intake has something to do with funneling a little more air down there to get a little bit more downforce, which is quite interesting, because I never really thought anyone would actually try something like that. McLaren, Zach Brown, I mean, that guy has really turned things around since the Honda days.
Yeah.
He really has. They have done such a great job from where they were a few years ago to where they are now. And now they look really strong. I would say after today, seeing what Lance did and having a look at some of the data from yesterday, I mean, McLaren, for me, they feel like the top of the midfield. They look extremely strong with that Mercedes engine. I think they're going to be the team to beat for the midfield for sure.
Very interesting, and yeah, they absolutely look very good. And considering some of the issues that they've had in seasons past of preseason testing, the fact that it's gone essentially completely smooth without any major issues or anything like that is an excellent positive. Now, there's a couple of questions in the chat that I wanted to ask you and get your opinion on. But first, I just wanted to do a little Canadian update. Of course, Lance Stroll in the newly branded Aston Martin. We're talking about the midfield, and of course, Aston Martin, a ton of hype behind them with what Lawrence Stroll has been able to brilliantly do with that rebrand. But I think that hype has fallen just a little bit short so far in preseason testing. Day one was a bit quiet for Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll, and then obviously they had the gearbox issues this morning, And then, Stroll had a decent session in the PM as well, finishing third with a 1:30.4, putting 71 laps on the board. But what do you think of Stroll so far at Aston Martin? And then also Nicholas Latifi at Williams, who finished seventh today with a 1:31.6 and also 132 laps on the board. What do you think of the Canadian boys on the grid so far?
Yeah, let's start with Williams first, for sure, and Nicky, because I didn't really expect that team to look as strong as they've looked in preseason testing. I mean, they look like, talking to Nicholas just the other day there, I mean, he was kind of underplaying like how I was like, so what are you doing today? We were just shooting the breeze kind of thing. And he was like, yeah, just in the simulator and whatever. And it didn't really sound like this, the team had, I guess, gained back too much of an advantage. But man, looking at that today, he was fastest in sector 2, which are like most of the corners are sector 2, and he held the fastest sector 2 time for most of testing, or most of today's testing, and that looks good. They look really solid. That car looks incredible. Like, it looks so much smoother than, say, last year's car or even the year before that. It looks like they've definitely made some big gains. I think those gains are coming from maybe, I don't want to say aero, because it just doesn't, where they're fast, it kind of seems like they're faster in the slow to medium slow corners. So that kind of tends me to think that they've done a lot of work with dampers, suspension, springs, anti-roll bar. I think they've done a lot of work under there. I know they've spent some tokens, and I don't think we know yet where those are. And I think I can put my finger on where they are, kind of. So Williams looks good, and I'm excited to see how they do this season. And usually, like a driver like Nicholas, who I've been following, since 2013. He's always fastest in his second season of anything he's ever done. He always learns his first season. Yeah. And then his second season, he's always right there with everyone else. I think after last season, he was thrown in at the deep end for sure. Not a lot of time in the race car, and that's a problem. Especially when you're a rookie, because in Formula One, you have so much to learn. Like, I don't think a lot of people really understand just how much information a racing driver in Formula One has to take in. Like, it's a lot. Yeah. And usually you don't really see a lot of success from racing drivers who have that much to learn. You don't see true success until kind of like your third season. I think for Nicholas, I think he's going to have a great season, in all honesty. He looked sharp today. He looked really, really good. And for that team to get that much mileage under their belt, which, they're not really used to, right? Like, I mean, we go back to last season, right, guys? I mean, like, they didn't get a lot of mileage. They didn't get a lot of mileage the year before that. I mean, I think the year before that, they didn't even have a race car until the second week of testing.
That's right.
So this team has come a long way. I'm really excited for them to see where this goes. And I'm really excited for Nicholas and George too, because, George this is a big year for George. This is a big year for George. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. As for Aston Martin, I mean, I was on the car launch a few weeks ago, and I'd gotten access to everything that they had done. I got access to all of the different things that were inside their vault, so to speak, and they put a lot of money into it, man. Like, they invested heavily into that car launch, and it looked awesome. And the car looks awesome. And I always say that, the car may look awesome, but it may not be fast. So having a look at today, Lance did his quickest time on the C5. he looked really good when he was running the yellow stripe compound earlier. He had an issue with a lapped car. Well, he had an issue with, there was Alonso pulled off the track, and then I can't remember who was in front of him, but there was another car that was in front of him that held him up and really ruined his lap. But just before that, having a look at entering sector 2, like, car looked good. Looked really good.
Yeah.
From there, though, he pulled into the pits and didn't complete the full lap. So that leads me to believe that he was probably on a lighter fuel load, maybe. And he just didn't get to complete that part of his testing program. But then jumps out on that C5. And yeah, I think I believe he was like third fastest at the end of the day or something like that.
Yep.
But again, behind the AlphaTauri, and Gasly was on the exact same tire. So then we take a look at like fuel loads and things of that nature, and we just have no clue. And then also the engines as well. I mean, the engine's detuned, and they're not running full lean right now. So it's tough to say where Aston Martin is. Are they as quick as McLaren? I don't know. That's where I'm at with that one, because I still think the pecking order is going to be Mercedes, Red Bull. And then I think it's going to be like McLaren, Aston Martin, AlphaTauri, Alpine.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fierce battle, man. But I mean, it's not a horrible start for them. They've gotten some really good mileage out of the car. That's positive. They've shown some good speed, which is positive. And now it's just in terms of like development. Are they going to bring more to this car once the season starts? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are. So yeah, we'll see where it takes them, but it's a good starting point. Let's just put it there.
Yeah, excellent points brought up there. I'm not sure how you are for time. I got maybe just one or two more points I wanted to go through.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I got
just
about
let me
10
know
minutes
whenever
sure.
you need to go. I
Sure.
know you're busy.
Sure, thanks. Yeah.
So just last two things for me. I wanted to quickly touch on Ferrari, because obviously Ferrari were, really trying to build off of a horrendous season last year, made a lot of improvements to the car at the rear. Obviously, they got the new Ferrari power unit. I'm not sure what you think, but for me, they just kind of fell a little bit flat so far in the first 2 days. Just looking at Leclerc's laps earlier on today, he seemed like he was really struggling again with the rear of the car, especially out of turn 15. I saw him really running wide there a lot, and the car was also sparking a lot out of the exit of 15, which I really didn't see from too many other cars. He eventually finished 6th on the day with 73 laps and the best time of a 1:30.8, but that's behind customer-teamed Alfa Romeo Antonio Giovinazzi with the 1:30.7, 125 laps on the board for him. So just quickly on Ferrari, do you think that they're just kind of trying to, check all the systems, make sure that they're getting correlation with the data, or do you think that their upgrades and the changes to the car just really haven't seemed to worked out just yet?
I don't think that things have worked out the way Ferrari wants them to have. Yeah. I think Carlos Sainz doesn't look comfortable, even though, yes, I understand it's only like, it was his second day in the car today. And that's not a lot of time. And to get comfortable in a Formula One car, I mean, usually it takes a lot longer than a day. It takes many days. So,
yeah.
But still, a guy with that much experience in Formula One, I didn't expect him to look as nervous as I think they did look. So, yeah, I don't think things have really worked out well for Ferrari just yet. That's not saying they're not in the ballpark, though, right? I mean, again, with the fuel loads, like, we don't know, and there's probably more upgrades coming to the car for sure. But as a starting point, I think they definitely look better than they did last year, like just from like the visual test. I think they do look better. I mean, the car paint, in my opinion, doesn't look any better. But oh man, that green has got to go.
Green.
Going on there, but oh gosh. As for the engine and things like that, I mean, if we look at like the customer teams, they look quite strong in the faster sections. So it looks like the engine has made a bit of an improvement, but again, we're not really seeing the real engine because that'll probably be unleashed once we get to the Bahrain Grand Prix. But yeah, Ferrari, I don't know, it just doesn't. I don't know. How's it feel for you guys? Because it just doesn't look good.
Yeah, no, I made the same comments, and as we're doing the stream, we're in between like looking on Twitter and trying to get some updates. But I was just paying attention to when Leclerc was trying to do some of his more performance runs on the softer compounds of tire, and every time they would show him coming out of 15, it would just be like a ton of oversteer as soon as he put the power down, car sparking away, just similar to kind of like Hamilton and the Mercedes in the morning, where it just doesn't seem happy with the rear of the car. And, just quickly, like looking at the sector times, going back to what you were talking about earlier with Latifi. So Leclerc on his best lap in Sector 2 was a 49.5 versus Latifi's best lap on a Sector 2, which was a 48.0. So, you even see Williams there making some gains on Ferrari in the middle sector there. So, yeah, it just doesn't seem like they're very happy with the car versus, the likes of Alpine or McLaren, for example.
Yeah, and I think it all just going to come down to, working this car out, trying to find its sweet spots. It was kind of like reminds me a little bit of last year's Red Bull, where it was a race car that looked extremely difficult to drive, but once you kind of got it tuned into that sweet spot, you were able to extract the lap time like Verstappen and Albon could do.
Yeah.
And similar with this Ferrari, I got a feeling it's going to be something similar where it's like, once they kind of nail those setups, they'll be quick. Now, are they going to be like Red Bull, Mercedes quick? I highly doubt it. I don't think they're going to get close to either of those teams. But, can they be high up in the midfield? Can they battle for third? Can they battle for fourth? Yeah, absolutely, for sure. For sure. I think anything on top of that is just gravy. I mean, only because of like where they're coming from. Last season was such a disaster, and like looking at this season, I mean, if they will improve for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
Kind of like how much gains can they make, or did they make in the off season?
Yeah, it should be interesting to find out for sure. The final one for me would be just last two things quickly. Just maybe quickly touch on the rookies on the Formula One grid. Mick Schumacher was in the car during this PM session. Also, Yuki Tsunoda and then Nikita Mazepin as well. And then just finally to wrap everything up, what are some things that fans should be looking out for on the final day of testing? And what do you kind of have your eye out on for as we wrap up testing tomorrow on Sunday?
Yeah, for the rookies, Yuki Tsunoda looks awesome. That guy looks really good. Very impressed with him. I always heard that he was really, really quick. But being quick in Formula 2 and then translating that into F1 are two totally different things. And a big part of that, again, tires, and then also how fast the race cars are, how late they can brake, how much downforce they have, and how much confidence you need to build up to really extract the lap time. As for Tsunoda, he looks so smooth. Like I was very impressed by watching him, and I'm really excited to see him race this season, because I think he's going to be one of the more impressive rookies we've seen in F1 in a while, for sure. I think Mick Schumacher and Nikita, I mean, yeah, they're in a tough spot, in all honesty. Haas came out and even said publicly that, they're really not going to upgrade this car much as this season kind of rolls along. And they're going to take that investment and they're going to put it towards their 2022 car, which is smart for sure, especially for a team like Haas, right? That's a smart move. But for a driver like Mick, that's a tough situation to be put in when you're a rookie, because the car itself, coming off of last season, was already difficult to drive, and it took two drivers like Grosjean and Magnussen to really extract the performance out of it, who are two very skilled and experienced racing drivers. So I think both of those drivers are in a bit of a tough spot. I think if the balance of the race car is okay, I think that will lend itself to Mick having a smoother start to the season. I mean, I have a feeling that they're just going to go backwards from wherever they're going to start, because everyone else will just keep progressing and moving the cars forward in terms of development, where if they're not really going to develop, then they're just going to go backwards. It's just how it works. So for a driver like Mick, I think if the balance of the race car is comfortable, then I think, you know, he'll get through the season okay. Because he, again, is like another one of those racing drivers where, you know, the first season is all about that learning, where and then the second season, it's kind of like that's where you start to extract more performance from yourself and you learn how to extract more performance from the race car.
Yep. And maybe just quick final thoughts, what fans should be looking out for on the final day of testing?
Yeah, I mean, always again with like the fuel loads and things like that. I mean, the long runs are, if you can get your hands on the live timing and scoring, and you can see the longer runs and see where everybody is at with those long runs, I think that's going to be really important, and that's going to tell us a lot. I really do, because a lot of the teams, they save their like push laps and things like that until, you know, the end of the day, where the track is at its premium, the sun has gone down, so the temperatures are really nice, and the track is in that really good window to extract pure performance from the race car. So those are the two things I would look at. I mean, most of the long runs, they kind of get done during the middle of the day, middle of the afternoon, and then once you get to the kind of late evening, that's where you start to see a little bit more performance being extracted from the race cars. But again, don't read too much into it. I mean, you're not going to know where everyone truly sits until we get to qualifying for the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's the best way to put it. Crazy that we're already here onto the final day of testing, but this is it with the shortened season that we have, and
just 3 days, right? Like,
that's all we get.
Man, it's weird. Like, I was hoping for, I'm sure the drivers were hoping for more too, right? I mean, 3 days just doesn't feel like enough.
Yeah, especially with the huge change that we had in the grid too.
Big time, right? And I mean, if you're inexperienced, like a rookie or something, 3 days is, well, they're not even getting a full 3 days. I mean, they're getting like a full day, and if maybe a little tiny bit more than that. And that's just, I don't know, if you're a rookie, that's not enough. That's just not enough.
Well, if you're somebody like Williams, for example, you just get 1 day.
Yeah, I mean, again, right? Like for Nicholas, you're just getting, in George, just getting 1 day in the race car. That's just not enough. It's going to take those teams to really learn the cars. It's going to take like a couple weeks now, and it's going to, development's going to be a little bit slower. And then, it's just, you don't really know where your reliability actually truly kind of is. And so I think for the teams that are getting those longer runs in, I mean, that's really that's a really positive sign. So today for like, Williams, for instance, what is it? 132 or something they put in, I think it was.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really good for them. That's really, really good. So yeah, it's doesn't feel like enough, right?
Yeah, for sure. But we won't have to wait too long for the first race of the season. It's about a little bit less than 2 weeks away. So it'll be right on our doorstep. But Tim, I think that was a very good and comprehensive breakdown of the entire day's worth of testing and all the information and the data in every single team. So we really appreciate your time. I know you got to run because you got your own work to do with testing. Maybe let the viewers know where they can find your work and your social media channels as well.
Yeah, so at Tim Haurani on both Twitter and Instagram. Last name is spelled Haurany. It's a tough one. Trust me. It is a tough one. So, everyone can catch most of my work there. And podcast is TSN Racing Pod. You can get it anywhere you get your podcast. But I just want to say thanks very much, guys, for having me on. Really appreciate it. I love what you do with the show. I watched a lot of your live feed for YouTube, and I was like, good for them. That's a long time to talk with not a lot of information. So way to go.
Thank you. Yeah.
I wouldn't do it, but good for you for doing it. Trust me, that's impressive, man. You guys are rocking it, and keep doing your thing.
We appreciate
because-
that. Yeah, it helps to have a nice fan base as well that keeps the conversation going. And then, of course, bringing on great, knowledgeable guests like yourself just puts a nice bow on the day's event. So thank you again, and enjoy the rest of testing. Enjoy the start of the season, and I'm sure we'll connect again soon during the 2021 season.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime. And thanks again, guys. I really appreciate
Sure,
it.
have a good one, Tim.
Yeah, see you guys. Thanks again.
See you, Tim. Thanks. All right. Well, that was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the information that we gained in that 30 minutes of him just being here.
That's it. I'm done. That's that's the thing with Tim. You just have to give him a little softball pitch, and he'll hit it out of the park and cover everything for you. So
Yeah, absolutely. Like just the hour of us talking, that 30 minutes of Tim, just the information that we got from day 2 of testing is just unreal, man.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think that'll do it for us as well. I will be clipping that post wrap-up show with Tim separately, and hopefully I'll have that up within the next couple of hours. Just have to edit that a little bit together, and then that can be up. A reminder, guys, to whoever's still watching on the stream, to enter our giveaway contest. You can enter the contest by commenting on the bottom of this video your top 3 Drivers' Championship predictions. You can also do it in tomorrow's live stream video, which will give you an extra entry into the giveaway. You'll probably maybe need to wait 10 or 15 minutes for the video just to process, and then the comment section will be available. So comment your top 3 Drivers' Championship picks, and you'll be entered in for our giveaway. Tomorrow, we are back live. We're going to be live at 9 o'clock Eastern time zone for the final day of winter testing on the Backmarkers F1 Show channel, going all the way until 12 p.m. Shaker, are you joining us then for tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm available tomorrow, so I'll be here.
Okay, what time would you like to come on?
Probably same time. I'll probably come on around 10 again.
Okay, excellent. So you can expect Shaker then at 10 a.m., and then I'll be solo then for the first hour, and then it'll be the two of us to bring us home for the final 2 hours, and then wrap up this 2021 testing day. Final thoughts then, Shaker, on for day 2?
Well, I mean, I just want to say, it's the first time I've been in part of the live one, so it's great to have viewers tuning in. I've been doing, as you know, I've been doing a lot of Twitch streaming, so I really like this whole having this whole chat bar and having people to communicate with. But yes, Rob, that was 30 minutes. Like I said, man, the amount of information we got was so much, but it was so detailed and so good. You didn't realize it was 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it went by fast. And it's just for the whole 3 hours too. You guys with the comments and everything, it's great. And yeah, Shaker does have a Twitch channel that he started recently. So maybe just drop your channel link in the chat room below, and people can check it out.
I don't do as much racing stuff. It's a lot more, battle royales like Warzone, and I'm going to be getting into new game. But yeah, follow me at Caustic Suburban, AUSTIC Suburban. And you can follow me on Twitch, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on all those. I'm trying to be more active on them. But yes, feel free to follow me. I'm going to hopefully get into some racing games as well, racing sims. So
awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. All right, well, that will do it then for us then for the day 2 of the stream. Very much enjoyed a long but also very quick 4 hours of streaming with you guys. Thank you, everybody in the comments, for the support. A few of you that sent the super chats, we very much appreciate that support. You can find all the discount codes, links in the description of this video below to our sponsor, the GP Box, if you guys would look to get some more F1 merchandise there. Rob, the stream tomorrow starts at 9 o'clock Eastern time, so make sure to tune in there. You can find all that info on the homepage of our channel, and also set some reminders there as well. If you're new to the channel, consider giving us a subscribe. And yeah, I hope to see you all tomorrow again for the stream. But until then, it's bye for now. Have yourselves a great day, and we'll be back for day 3.
Yeah, thanks, guys.